Hello, welcome to the Ball Knowers podcast. I'm Jack Keating here with returning guest Chase Brostek and first-time guest Scott Symanski. Chase and Scott, how you guys doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Glad to be back. Talk some hoops. Be fun.
I'm excited to talk about how people are finally awaking to James Harden being a playoff fraud. I'm excited to be here for that.
Yeah, that was we can get into that Clippers Nuggets series later on, but I was at the gym like right before that game started and I was like I have to, I rushed my last game so I could get home to watch that game 7 thinking it was going to be good and it was anything but good. It was
Yeah,
over
I
pretty
checked during the
pretty
first.
fast.
Yeah, I checked during the
Yeah.
first. I'm like, eh.
Yeah, it was a decent game for like that first quarter, but like after
Yeah,
within minutes of the second quarter, it just like instantly became a blowout. I think they went on like a
yeah.
17-3 run, and it was bad. But in this episode, we're going to talk about we're going to recap the first round, all of the series, touch on them a bit, and then we're going to look towards the second round, and then just like some general stuff that's happened since our last recording. The pop retiring from coaching, a few head coaching hirings, just a few different things we can get to. We can start off though. You guys want to start in the East?
Yeah, let's do that.
That's
All
my
right.
specialty.
So
Let's go with it.
so we had first round. Cavs swept the Heat. This
Yeah.
is Scott. This is your team, so I'll let you take the charge here. How did you feel about
I
that
mean,
Cavs series?
it. Of course, this Heat team is arguably one of the maybe the worst team that's ever been in the playoffs ever. But I will say it made me a lot more confident in the Cavs that our best player didn't even play that good, and we still won by like an average of 30. I mean, obviously, the Cavs have been being hit with fraud allegations for the whole season, and it seems like this series kind of like quieted that down a lot. So that's exciting to see. It seems like a lot of more people, maybe they're not picking the Cavs, but they're a lot more confident that they could take the Celtics to 7 or win the series outright. So
Hmm.
Garland specifically impressed me a lot during those games.
Yeah, what you said about the series made you more confident in the Cavs versus the Celtics series. I definitely feel the same. I feel like I'd probably still take the Celtics, just because like they did it last year and like they have a more proven group. But you guys just looked so good. It was the biggest win differential in a playoff series history. I think it was 122. It was the first time a team has won back-to-back games by 30 plus points, and both of those were in Miami, which is even more impressive.
Yeah.
Like that game four, like Miami clearly just I don't know if somebody had said like we're not going to try this game, but it felt like that was the situation. They just had no effort. They clearly didn't want to be there. They knew they weren't going to win that series. The Cavs really impressed me. Just like everybody on the team played. The bench was shooting amazing. Even when Garland went down, you guys, that's when you won those two 30-point games. The Cavs really just absolutely beat down the Heat. That's what I was
Yeah.
expecting, but maybe not to this level.
Ty Jerome and even like third stringing Javante Green. I said Garland impressed me earlier. Obviously, those were the first games, but with him out, those two really stepped up. I mean, Ty Jerome at 28 points. I mean,
Hmm.
he's gone in the offseason probably, but for now, I mean, he's that one player in the playoffs that no one expects to truly go off, and so far he's just been going crazy. Exactly.
Let's go, Ty Jerome FC. We're back.
Trust me, we are here. We are
Yeah,
here.
we touched on Ty
Enjoy
Jerome
it.
a lot in the previous episode. You had him for six man, right, Chase? And I had him in the or yeah, you had him six man, and I had him in the most improved conversation. That's what it was. Yeah, big Ty Jerome fans over here. Virginia legend. We mentioned that last time, but yeah, he had a great series. I think he's gonna play like such a huge part in their chances against the Pacers. I'm not chances. I think that they'll win that series, but their chances against Boston and then potentially whoever comes out of the West, OKC. But uh, what else in this first round really impressed you guys? And it's kind of this series isn't the best to. I feel like there's not that much to talk about honestly because of just like how much of a beating it was. Miami didn't show that much. Like Tyler
Yeah.
Hero didn't really impress me. Bam was okay, but like they just need more pieces. Losing Jimmy, that was kind of just the end of their season. It was, they didn't really have a chance after that. They don't have that like key number one leader guy. And so like, a team led by Tyler Hero and Terry Rozier, like it's not that good.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is that Mobley is shooting 48% from three.
Yeah.
So if he can even half continue that, that's going to be huge for the Cavs.
Yeah, I would imagine that was a 4 game outlier, but
Yeah, right. But
if it's
even if he
not,
keeps it like a 43, I mean, that's going to be massive.
yeah, I think if he could stay above 40, then that'll be a huge thing for you guys. Alrighty, so that was the recap of that first round series between the Heat and Cavs. Obviously, ended in a sweep for the Cavs. We can move on to the 2-7 series, which saw Boston win in 5 versus the Magic. Chase, what were your key takeaways from that series?
Um, I will say the Boston Magic and the Cavs Heat series were probably the two series I watched the least, just because they weren't very entertaining. But
Yeah.
um, we talked about how we just couldn't really see Boston going into the Garden, or we talked about how we couldn't see Orlando going into the Garden and really shooting that well. And I
Mm,
think that came to fruition. They very poorly on the road.
yeah.
I was surprised they were able to keep as many games as close as they were. I
Hmm.
think their defense was really impressive for a majority of the series, but
100%. They really,
uh,
I felt like they were really able to like muck up this series. That they brought Boston into like their just dirty water offense a lot more than I was expecting. Um, they were able I forget which game it was, but they held at the first half they held Boston to 0 for 5 from 3, which I don't know which stat is more insane, that they made zero threes or that they only attempted 5. Um, they defended the 3 point like so well for Boston, but the Celtics are just a way better team. Like they can just score so much more. The Magic really only have 2 players that can score the ball at like any real level. And that was like this was probably the peak for what they were going to be able to reach. Maybe they could have gotten it to 6, but like that felt kind of unrealistic. The Magic scored 100 or fewer points in every single game this series, which they showed promise. Like Paolo and Franz showed a lot here. Franz, he had like I don't know if you guys noticed this too, but he had like a weird hitch in his jumper during the series. He kind of like had to relearn how to shoot the three a bit. And he was still shooting at a crazy high level. He was putting up like 30 shots a game and still scoring 30. And so was Paolo, but like they would only score 80 or something because no one else on this team can score the ball very well. KCP wasn't very good. I mean, starting Corey Joseph, like he's a solid defender, but like, why are you starting Corey Joseph in the playoffs in 2025? Like that's just not acceptable. So the Magic have a lot to take from here. I feel like, at least to me, this clearly proved Paolo and Franz are a real 1-2 punch that can be a real duo in playoffs. They just they need literally anybody else on this team to have any sort of offensive capabilities.
Like, obviously, he was going to have a bit of a fall off leaving Jokic, but this absolute almost disaster of a season that KCP
Hmm.
has been having is like kind of ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
we all knew he was a bit of a like Jokic,
Hmm.
gain from being with the best center in the league, but well, it's like he's a completely different player now. He misses wide open looks pretty often now.
Yeah, that's the thing with like Jokic, like playing with Jokic. Players are just always more efficient because their shots are just so insanely open. But going to the Magic team, he was supposed to just take 10 threes a game and like play decent, but I felt like he wasn't even shooting that much regular season and in the playoffs. And when he was, they were like bad looks. I felt like he tried to dribble the ball too much. I have his 3 point percentages here. I believe, yeah, so this was his third worst shooting season ever, next to his rookie season in Detroit and his third season in Detroit. Like that's just insane. He shot 34% from three this season, which was a 40% shooter every year with Jokic. So I don't know what happens with him. Like I'm assuming he stays, but I wouldn't be surprised if they moved off of him this offseason if somebody were to take that contract. But they just need like a lot to change this offseason. I don't know if it's like getting Anthony Simons or something, or like they just need some point guard to run this offense because Paolo and Franz like dying for help.
Even if they get another great shooter, though, I don't know if they're in like a position to go kind of all in, or at least like
Hmm.
pretty close. Because even let's say they get even like not like one of the better shooters, the best 3-point shooter
Hmm.
available. I still don't think they stack up to Celtics, Cavs, or Pacers even. Like I don't think they have that level of talent. But I'm also a bit of a Paolo non-believer, so
Mm.
I could be a little biased.
Okay.
We've kind of known this about the Magic for a while now too. They've been in trade rumors for point guards for the last couple of years.
Yeah, and like
Until they really have an engine or a playmaker at the point guard position, their team is it's just really not going to be able to do much because their spacing is so difficult to watch. But
yeah.
they have the defensive side figured out. So if they can figure out the point guard position, I really think that they'll probably be in the upper echelon of
Hmm.
teams in the Eastern Conference.
I'm gonna
And
cry when Ty Jerome in a Magic jersey.
I think it's very possible that he goes to the Magic,
I
and
do too.
I don't know how good he'll be there. Just like because I think honestly, until they add like like multiple shooters, I feel like if they just add like they added KCP, who he's a great like second or third best shooter on the team, but he can't be your main like 3-point guy. And so I feel like if they just add like one more guy, it might still be that case where they need like another one or two, three more people who can all shoot. Because like this team just like they don't even get good looks from three. They miss the threes. It reminds me of like it's like nothing I've seen in like the last 10 years. It's like early 2000s basketball almost. It's kind of strange. But yeah, for the Celtics, Tatum was a little bit inconsistent in this series. Like not even like super inconsistent, but he had a few like one or two down games. But the games he was on, he had like 38 points or in in the comeback win for them. He really helped carry that team in that game. Kristaps was okay in the series. He didn't shoot his best shots. Drew Holiday, the injury is a little bit concerning to his hamstring. They obviously were able to escape this series without him, and I felt even if he didn't play at all, they would have been fine. But and I think they'll be fine against the Knicks as well. But in a Cavs series or in a likely OKC or Minnesota series, I think losing Drew would be huge. Especially if, like even if it's just one or two games, I think those are games that you can't afford to lose.
Hmm.
And I think without Drew, it would could really change things for them. So that does worry me down the stretch for them, especially like if this Knicks series goes deeper than it should, then like that's going to be extra wear and tear on his body. But outside of that, that's really all my takeaways from this series. The Celtics just kind of handled business like we were expecting.
Yeah.
We can move on to the 3 versus 6 series, which saw the Knicks win in six versus the Pistons. I mean, my main thing here is Cade really impressed me. I think there were definitely a few things that he could work on, but like to start on with the positives, he shot the ball super well. He shot 45%. Or sorry, he this was all right. My bad. This is a negative, so let me get to that later. He was able to command this offense really solidly. He's the main. What we said in the last podcast was like just blitz Cade, send two three people at him, and let anybody else beat you. And that's a lot of times what they did. And Cade was still able to figure it out. He was making the assists that he needed to. He was driving the ball so well this series. He was getting floaters in the mid range. He was getting to the basket super well, like contesting on Cat. Mitchell Robinson wasn't great with Cat. Oh, sorry, with Cade. I was really impressed by Cade. It just showed me for sure he can be the number one option on a team. They just needed a better team around him to contend a little more. But I think if they make a few changes, I don't even know how many changes they need to make this offseason. They're still really young. Like this team could stick together another season, and I wouldn't be surprised if next year they were able to win a series like this.
Yeah, I mean, this will just come from playoff experience, but if I had to say uh, one phrase to describe the Pistons this series, it would be missed opportunities. They definitely blew one or I argue two games where they let victory kind of just fall through
Hmm.
their hands, which makes sense. I mean, your JB Bickerstaff's a decent head coach, but like he's pretty not great in the playoffs. plus the fact that young, inexperienced guys. I mean, I guess Tobias Harris, but like that's
He was
about it for
solid this
playoffs.
series. He impressed me.
Yeah,
Like
he was
if
better than
you,
Paul George this season.
yeah, that is true. I mean, he went out last year in Game 7 versus the Knicks and had 0 points, and they lost the playoffs. Not because of him, but he was a big reason in that. And then this year, he goes to a much less stressful situation. The fans aren't going to be doxing you and stuff. Um,
Right.
and he played pretty solidly this playoffs. He played his role well. He was a good 3 point shooter. He defended pretty solidly. He was a good vet for this team. They just they just need like a few more pieces. I feel like a few better shooters on this team and another ball handler would benefit them well. Dennis Schroeder was pretty solid, but I think like having better consistent shooters than Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. would serve them very well here. But they have the key
Actually,
pieces. Duran was awesome in the series. Duran was one of the players that impressed me the most. He took that cat matchup well, was able to rebound well, was a good interior defender. Tobias Harris was pretty solid. Asar Thompson, Jalen Brunson said in the press conference, and he said that he told Asar to his face that he was one of the best defenders that he ever went against. And so that I've always felt that way about Asar. I feel like he's one of the best in the league, but that shows me that they have the pieces to make a run. Probably not next year, depending on who they get or what they do, but within the next few years, the Pistons team could totally be one of the top teams in the East.
I actually really like Dennis Schroeder on this team, and I hope they keep him around. I think he's. I actually, when he was cut, I really wanted the Cavs to get him, but this was
Hmm.
also like around when we didn't have DeAndre Hunter.
Yeah,
But like overall, I really wanted because I think he's going to be not like great for this team, but I think he's really good. Maybe off the bench, maybe like start a few games here and there. I think he
hmm,
could be really impactful for a future Pistons run.
Yeah, I think we kind of talked about this going into the series. Pistons youth just showed in all these close games that came down the stretch where they were blowing leads or they just weren't able to execute to the same level the Knicks were.
yep,
And Jalen Brunson was as advertised in the fourth quarter of pretty much every single game. He was
totally.
able to get to the free throw line, able to get to his spots, and we kind of saw that coming before the series. But this was probably my favorite series of the first round, just because I feel like every single game of this series was good. Every
Hmm.
single game came down to the wire. There was big shots in every single game. And I was after that first game where the Pistons were in the Garden and they went into the fourth quarter with the lead, and the Knicks just
Yeah, just blew
went
them
on a
out.
huge run and completely trounced them in the fourth quarter.
Hmm.
I thought that would like completely demoralize them, and the Knicks would win this series in like 5 games maybe. But I was surprised at how the Pistons were able to show resolve, and um, I think they'll be a lot better next season as they gain
Totally.
some experience and they have a lot of young players that'll keep getting better. But I think this is a really positive sign for Pistons in their future.
Yeah,
One thing,
I would say that they have like one of the brightest futures right now. Like this is going to be a huge series for their future of like they're going to learn a lot. Like I said, like they have the key pieces already in Cade, Duran. Like I feel like there's always been a few questions of like how good is he really a like starting center or how good can he really be, whatever. But like to me, this clearly shows that he could be a starting center on a playoff team, and like that's not a side that you really have to worry about. It would have looked even better if Isaiah Stewart didn't get hurt and then missed the entire rest of the series. Like if he's out there, I don't think he's making them win two more games, but like they might have pulled out one extra win or have at least been a better defense. Would have been closer in a few more games. Paul Reed had like one good game, but he wasn't great outside of that. So like I think Stu would have helped a lot here. The thing with Cade that I wanted to point out though, and it's just it was his first series, so you can't like be too harsh on him. But the few things that really stood out to me, he turned the ball over a lot. He had 32 turnovers in 6 games, so that would just be something that you need to limit a bit. I think he had like 8 turnovers in one game or 9 in one game. So stuff like that is just something that he needs to clean up a bit. It's one of the things he needs to work on in the off season. And then also what I was saying earlier, for on pull up threes this season, he shot 45%, and versus the Knicks, and it was like near 30% the rest of the regular season. This series, I think he shot like 25%. Like that was just something that for him to be able to win a series like this series, and they would have to have otherworldly shot making, and that's something that he would have had to keep up, and he couldn't. They were blitzing him. They were sending two people at him all the time. That was the main guy that they had to worry about, and he still cooked them in basically every game. But if they can get somebody else there that can be a real offensive threat, I really think that they could win this series. I'm not too high on the Knicks, honestly. I feel like after like this might be the Knicks' last season with this core, and so like depending on who's on this team next year, this is a totally a potential matchup again next year. I wouldn't be surprised if the Pistons pull it out next time.
The one
But
thing I
Which
yeah,
do
go on,
take
Scott. Yeah.
concern about the Pistons, like future wise, and maybe this is a little like just from watching him for the past few years. I think JB Bickerstaff kind of puts a hard ceiling on your team. He was never good in the playoffs. He's not great adjusting specifically. He makes some weird moves. Like I know they rested Thompson for a little bit just to make him
Hmm.
fresh, but that led to not like a run, but like a bit
It
of a
was
thing for the
yeah.
Knicks.
I know what you're
But
talking
of
about. That
course,
was weird.
yeah, he could improve. Like I'm not gonna say I'm completely out on JB Bickerstaff, but from what I've seen, I mean the Cavs went from like a 45 win team to a 65 win team, and I feel like that's just one thing that might haunt the Pistons. But I'm not like calling for his job or anything. It's just
Hmm.
something to definitely look for in the future with the Pistons.
and it's kind of unfortunate for the Knicks, like you were saying, Jack. There's I don't know what their future looks like. They kind of went all in on the roster that they have right now this season.
Yeah.
And it's just I don't see it being a roster that's ever going to be able to compete with the Celtics or the Cavs.
Hmm.
And you tied up a lot of future assets into Bridges and Towns, so I just I don't really see. It feels like they're kind of at their ceiling already,
Yeah.
and they would need a pretty ridiculous series to have any chance against the Celtics.
Yeah. I think I was thinking about this last night. There's a really solid chance, and we'll get to Julius Randle later. There's a good chance that Julius Randle not only plays longer in the playoffs this year than Cat, but plays better than him. And if that happens, like there's some real conversations that are gonna have to be had about that trade because at the time, like I feel like everyone was like, "Holy shit, the Knicks just fleeced them. They just whatever, whatever. They got off playoff drop for Julius." But like he was awesome in that first series and against the Lakers, and so like I mean, Cat was really good too, but like he needs to be out of this world against the Celtics for me to really like feel better about that. But for Knicks
Oh, stop.
Pistons, uh, I feel like we hit on most of the stuff that I wanted to hit on. The one thing that I just wanted to mention is that fourth quarter game 6 shot by like the buzzer beater, essentially buzzer beater, or I guess game winner, not buzzer beater, by Brunson was just insane. He was kind of getting cooked in that fourth quarter a bit, and then like with like 2 or 3 minutes left, he just turned it on, was just hitting everything. He did get clamped by Asar on like with like a minute left, and then he just comes back the next possession, shakes him off, like sends him flying, and then hits a like top of the key game winning three. That's just like one of the best shots in Knicks history. And like I feel like that's gonna be one of the shots that like really cements his clutch player moment or his clutch player like legacy. So that was really cool to see.
It is super cool to see, but it is a little nerve wracking for the Knicks. We're talking about their ceiling. They needed Brunson to play like Superman to take the Knicks to six,
Hmm.
or sorry, take the Pistons to six.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
obviously that's no indictment on Brunson, but I feel like it's a bit of an indictment on the rest of the team, especially since Cat was just bad that game.
Hmm.
So it's like, like obviously the shot's amazing, Brunson's amazing, but like how great does that reflect on the rest of the Knicks where they needed him to just kind of obliterate Asar Thompson at the end to get that final like
Yeah,
shot
yeah.
in?
Any final points from the series that you guys wanted to mention? All right, we can move on to the 4-5 matchup. This was one of my favorite series of the first round. Pacers went in 5 versus the Bucks. And it was a 5 game series, so it maybe that's like surprising that I like that series so much. But the Pacers just looked so good. Like they really outclassed the Bucks in just so many different ways. Giannis was like obviously amazing. He was like just so dominant in every aspect of the series. I did write a few notes for him. He averaged 33, 15.5, and 6.5 on 65% true shooting. In game five, he had 30, 20, and 13 in 44 minutes. Like they only won one game, and they should have won at least two. We can get into that because that was insane. The game five, the way that they blew it, they were up seven with 40 seconds left. Like Gary Trent, he was awesome in the overtime. He was just hitting pull up three after pull up three, just like contested to no end, just splashing them over and over. And then with a minute left, he catches the ball on the sideline and just throws it like he's in like middle school and like he's getting too much defense. He just like chucked it over his head. And then when the Pacers started to score some, then like AJ Green had the ball and he passes it to Gary Trent and it just goes right through his legs and just goes out of bounds. Like that, it was just so annoying. The Bucks should have won that game. That was brutal to see, and the way that they blew it, that was just heartbreaking.
Anything that could go wrong for the Bucks in that series went wrong for the Bucks in that series. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not like we're a level where Giannis put up like 9 points and 4 rebounds or whatever, but like they had Gary Trent Jr., they had Giannis, and that was it. Everyone else on that team, even if they weren't, everyone else on that team looked old. They looked
Hmm.
slow. They all. I'm not gonna say they didn't try, but they almost looked like they kind of didn't believe they'd win the series after like game one when they got blown out.
Yep.
But yeah, the team just felt slow. They didn't. I mean, elephant in the room. Kyle Kuzma sucks. It was a bad trade. We all knew it was a bad
Oh
trade,
my
and it's
dude.
somehow an even worse trade than what everyone thought that trade was going to be. I mean, you traded arguably the third or fourth best buck of all time and a first round pick for someone who
And a
legitimately
first
could
round
have
pick. People
and a
like
first.
your first for Kyle Kuzma. Oh my lord.
You put
I
up a
could.
Tony
Oh
Snell in
my
the
god,
playoffs
dude.
for a first round pick. That's disgusting. Nasty work.
22 minutes and he scored zero stats. The only stats he had were personal fouls. Such a bum. It's so insane. I can't believe that they traded for him thinking that that was going to be a smart move. Like, that he was going to have
Like,
any sort of positive impact in the playoffs. He showed like he was good on the Lakers when he was like the sixth best player in 2020 when he was a rookie, but like, or like second year, whatever the hell. But like, when he showed so clearly on the Wizards that he was such a losing player. He has such a terrible
yeah.
mentality. Like when he's not getting the ball enough, he just like quits on plays. He doesn't try on defense. He's a bad shot maker. Like his 3 point shot is not that good. It's just I have so much to say about Kyle Kuzma. I had a tweet after game one just saying like how unplayable he was. Like it was clear like he was just straight up unplayable in this series, and they had no choice but to play him because they had nobody else on the team. Like AJ Green played like 45 minutes in game five. Like they were playing absolutely anybody that had a Bucks jersey on. And like Brooke Lopez was, I mean, the only real substitution that Doc Rivers decided to make was not play Brooke Lopez, which obviously was the correct decision because he was horrible in this series. It's just the Bucks stood no chance in this series. Really, the Pacers were better top to bottom, and people were expecting the 2018 LeBron run from Giannis here, and he played like 2018 LeBron, but like teams just now you have to have more depth than one player, and we can get into Dame getting hurt here because he rushed back, he misses game one, he plays in game two, and he was all right, and then he played in game three and was not good, and then he gets hurt in game four, or no, he got was it hurt in game three or four? I forget.
He was game four.
Or
Or
Yeah,
no, yeah,
was it four? Yeah, so he
yeah, it was
played
game
like
four.
he was mid in game three, and then game four he got hurt. Chase, I know he's your favorite player, so you can touch on that if you want.
Oh yeah. It sucks because an Achilles tear at this point in his career is probably the end of him being a star player.
Hmm.
And he was already kind of on a downward trajectory, anyways.
Yeah.
This whole Bucks stint for Dame has just been a complete nightmare. Him and Giannis never really had the chemistry. They just have play styles that, or I won't even say the chemistry. They just have play styles that don't really work together as well as Dame
as they would have
could
on
with a player
paper.
more like an Anthony Davis maybe.
Hmm.
But um, yeah, as far as Dame, I wasn't really expecting much from him this series. I was expecting the Bucks to lose. It just sucks that this is probably how his career, and not ends, but we're done seeing high level Dame.
Yeah, like all
As far as
pro
Kyle
level
Kuzma,
Dame. Yeah.
yeah. As far as Kyle Kuzma, Tony Snell gets to rest peacefully. There's a
Hmm.
new zero stat man in the NBA. He's terrible. I won't say anything else about him. He was so hard to watch. But the Pacers, I'm really excited to watch their next series because
Hmm.
I thought they would have a chance against the Cavs before the playoffs, and they both played really well in the first round. I definitely still have the Cavs in that series, but I'm really looking forward to watching that today and seeing how that series plays out because the Pacers really impressed me in the first round.
Yeah,
Pacers scare me more than the Knicks do, I'll tell you that.
Oh, no
Oh
question. I
yeah,
mean, no
100%.
question about it. I mean, the Pacers whooped the floor with the Knicks last year. Like
Yeah.
that was a quick series, and the Pacers are just a better team. They're so deep. Like they have a whole five on the bench that like are real good players, and the same can be said about the Cavs. That series is gonna be really exciting. They're such similar teams. The Cavs are just,
Hmm.
like overall just better, and we can get into a lot of that later. But I'm very excited about that series because I had it. I've been talking about it for a couple like weeks now, saying the Pacers. Actually, I have a tweet from a couple months ago saying wouldn't be surprised if the Pacers upset the Cavs. I don't think that's going to happen, but like, so much would have to go right for them to do that. Like Halliburton would not have to have a single game where he's like doing his passive gimmick, and like Siakam has to be hitting his shots. The bench is going to be this is going to be such a big series for the bench. All right, not too much on that. I'll get into that later, but I'm excited about that series for sure. The one question do you have about like leading on from the series is what happens with Giannis in this offseason?
I think he
Here's
stays.
you think he
I agree.
stays?
I
Really?
think he stays.
Yeah.
Giannis clear, and I know this like the Luca argument, I guess, but he
I
clearly does actually like Milwaukee,
yeah.
or at least like the people around him. Like this isn't like a star player forcing his way out
Hmm.
or anything like that. Um, and also, I f- people forget. Well, they don't forget, but I feel like they forget. He won a ring there. It's not like he's a ringless player where his like at every stop of his career, his team just disappointed him and disappointed him. I think he stays because A, he had the ring. B, he seems pretty content there. And overall, he's just not. And I don't want to use the argument he doesn't seem like a player that would leave because that's not really a thing.
Hmm.
But like, I think it's more like he values him and his family being in Milwaukee and him still winning games. Like they're still making the playoffs. It's not like he squeaked in as a play-in team,
Hmm.
but they're still winning games. They're still making the playoffs. He's still playing his 30-20 games. So yeah, I do think he stays, especially since there's not many teams that could really trade for him. Like who? The Pelicans with Zion, but like, do you really want to trade Giannis for Zion? Eh. Like, so yeah, I think he stays.
I agree. Yeah, I think it will eventually come down to how much does Giannis care about winning another championship at this point in his career, which he obviously does care about.
Hmm.
But does he care about that more than staying with the team that drafted him, being where he's lived for the last 12, 13 years, all that stuff? So I think he'll stay. I think this will definitely be the biggest talking point of the offseason. Like, oh, who's going to trade for Giannis? The Lakers are going
Definitely.
to get Giannis. But
Jared Vanderbilt and a first round pick for
Austin
Giannis.
Reeves and
the,
Rui in our
the
one
Lakers
first.
I think they would
the
trade
Lakers
Austin Reeves.
classic take all of our bad players for your generational
Yeah.
superstar gimmick.
Yeah,
It's
but like,
it's
can you
gonna
No, you
blame
don't
be
them? It
understand. Jackson
happens.
Hayes is awesome.
But can you blame them? It happens. That's the worst part. They're right to believe it.
Yeah, no, like after the Luca
I know.
trade, if I was a Lakers fan, I would 100% be like, well, what if we just trade for Tatum? Like,
Yeah,
because
right. Rudy Hachimura, and it's just, oh
yeah,
my
Gabe
god.
Vincent could be a swap for Shea. Like,
Yeah, like, oh yeah. Stay for a first round pick and Austin Reeves. I don't want to give up too much, but
yeah,
you
yeah,
might
yeah.
have to make it work.
I saw this the other day. A Lakers fan was like, "We can't give up Rui and Reeves for
I
Giannis. That would
saw
be
that.
too
I
much."
saw that. Oh my god, I
He's
can't.
like, "We have to at least keep Rui Hachimura if we're gonna trade for Giannis." I was
I
like, "You
think
got to be kidding me,
I've been saying this for three
So
years. I
funny.
think who do Lakers fans think Rui Hachimura is? they genuinely believe he's like a top
Yeah.
20 player in the league. It's disgusting.
I mean, yeah,
So
he was
funny.
solid in this first round series, but like he's not like he's replaceable for sure. Like in
Yeah.
whatever.
I liked him on the Wizards, but
Yeah, the Lakers are a mess. We can get into that pretty soon. But
yeah.
I think Giannis does get traded. I think I think the Luka situation is completely a one of one. Like it's such a anomaly. It should not be even really looked at for any other star trade. Um, Jason Tatum reference. But
Yeah.
I think Giannis is gonna ask out. I just the writing is so on the wall here. This team was like they were Dame and Giannis were the highest scoring duo this season because the rest of this team sucked all year. Like they were always hurt, and if they were healthy, they were just weren't good. Um, and Dame's gonna miss the entirety of next season, I would imagine. So like Giannis on his own, they also don't have the cap flexibility to really change anything like significant about this roster, and they don't have the picks to like they don't have any of their own picks because they traded them for Drew and Dame. So like they can't tank. So they're just in a terrible situation. It's really such a like special one of one situation that they're in. I do feel like he does get traded because I think he's going to ask out, and I almost want him to just to see like the mayhem of all of the different teams that were because like even if your team can't like isn't a realistic suitor for him, you're still going to submit an offer, and so I'm really interested to see all these different like who is the protected players in these in for these teams because if Giannis is on the table, I would be willing to bet that more teams than not are going to have like one or two or three at the most players that are protected. Probably not more than three, because like Giannis is. I mean, he's a top 15 player of all time. He like his resume speaks for itself. He can win you a championship if you just give him a average roster around him. And obviously the Bucks this season, their roster was just straight up terrible. I I've been saying for a couple weeks now I really like the Pelicans as a suitor. I know everyone says the Rockets or the Grizzlies because they have like the young personnel and picks that they can do trade for him, but the Pelicans just make sense to me. I think this roster is a lot better than people give them credit for. Like they just
They injured this
yeah,
year.
they were just so they had this was one of the most injured ridden seasons for a team I've ever seen. They had
Yeah.
like torn Achilles to DeJounte. Every single player had a torn labrum. It felt like I'm sure there's plenty of other injuries that I could. Zion got hurt for half the season and he was like obscenely fat for a while, and then he came back and he looked like the in his best shape he ever has been. He was fantastic those last 3 months. Like
I mean,
I
Alfred Payton was getting 20 minutes a game here. I
yeah,
mean,
Alfred Payton had 20 assists versus the Knicks, and they lost by 40. Like they were playing, and they signed him and started him in the same day. Like that's how injured they were this year. And so I think that this team's a lot better than people give them credit for. Trey Murphy is absolutely awesome. I would assume that
Yep.
he's the probably the only untradeable player. Maybe Eves Missy they would try to keep too. But like outside of them, I think everybody's on the table for this trade. I'm assuming it's going to be also. I think a Zion trade is going to have a lot more picks in it than people are realizing. Like my first
I
mock
agree.
trade, I had the Pelicans giving them like three or four firsts, but I realized like it's probably going to be like seven or eight. Like teams, you're going to have to just gut your entire first round picks, your entire draft stock to get Giannis. It'll probably be like for a Pelicans trade, it would be Zion, CJ McCollum, probably Jordan Hawkins to give like another young piece. I would
CJ and Dame again.
yeah,
Oh
That'd
yeah.
be nice.
that would be interesting. I don't know if Dame ever plays again for the Bucks, if I'm being honest, though.
Do you guys think the Bucks even want Dejounte Murray?
I was thinking that, but like coming off an Achilles, I would assume that they would just say like keep him, just because like
He wasn't.
he's not even gonna play for at least a couple months.
He wasn't even good with before the ACL injury.
Yeah, I think that team was just so injured, like right off. Like it was literally within 2 weeks of the season, like they started getting injured instantly, and so I think it just kind of threw off everything for them. They would probably try to keep Herb Jones. I don't know if they would be able to, but if they could trade for Giannis and keep Herb Jones and Trey Murphy, this team is like really scary. I think they're not a finals contender day one, but they're a year away from like they're a piece away from being like one of the favorites in the West, in my opinion, honestly.
If
Um,
Giannis does get traded, just please keep him out of the Western Conference.
I, I
There's
I think it's almost guaranteed he goes to the West though. Like there's not that many teams in the East
that's
that
the
could.
thing.
Yeah, like the teams in the East that could trade for him are all the biggest rivals of the Bucks, and I think the Bucks like unless Giannis says like trade me to Indy or Detroit or nowhere else, there's no way that like those are the last two teams that they would trade him to. Like
Yeah.
especially the Pacers have eliminated them what 2 years in a row now in the playoffs. Like why would you then give him them Giannis? That would just be crazy. But I think if he gets traded, like the Rockets probably make the most sense. I think OKC is possible too. I only think OKC does it if they like lose in the Western Conference Finals or just get like slaughtered in the finals. If we
Yeah.
lose in six or win in six or something, we're just gonna run it back with the same team.
I
But
don't think
Yeah.
that's
obviously,
possible
Picks and
either.
J Dub like would totally be able to do it.
Yeah, I
You
don't think
think that
Brostek
J
would
Dub
be
would be
able.
on the table if the Thunder wanted to
No
get him?
question, no question.
I like J-Dub.
No, I love him. He was I mean he was awesome in this Grizzlies series. We can get into that right after this. And he's an awesome player, no doubt. But like we were talking about the Lakers thing, Giannis is not a player that you're trading like for in the Thunder's case. We're not going to trade Aaron Wiggins and like Nikola Topic and five firsts, and that's going to get it done. You're giving up like your best player, but luckily for the
Yeah.
Thunder, we have three players that could be the best player on most teams or like a lot of teams. But it like the Pelicans would have to give up Zion. You're not going to be able to keep Zion in a Giannis trade. The the Rockets, they're probably gonna have to give up Sengun in a Giannis trade, or like it's not just gonna
Absolutely.
be like Reed Shepard and Cam Whitmore and a lot of picks. Like who says no? Maybe Jabari Smith Jr. Like that's unlikely. They're like the Bucks are gonna. They don't have any of their own picks, so unless they're trading them to the Pelicans, who have their picks from the Drew Holiday trade,
Hmm.
or like the Blazers have their picks too, but he's not going to the Blazers. So like
No.
who? Scoot Henderson?
Bring him home.
Yeah,
Bring him home.
home is not in Portland.
Yeah, I don't know why.
But like the Pelicans, that's another reason I didn't mention before. They have I think two of their first round picks in I think 26 and 27 or 27 28. So like that would make a lot of sense that they get two or three of their own picks, a few extra picks too. Because like if they trade them to the Rockets, they're like, what does Cam Whitmore and Reed Shepard and stuff like that do for me? We're gonna be terrible next year. Maybe in 3 years we're good, but like we don't even have our own picks, so we're tanking for nothing. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think the asking price is going to be higher than people are ready for. Like if it's, I saw people mentioning the Hawks. Like you're giving me Jalen Johnson, then I think like you have to, and you might be
Oh
giving me
yeah.
Onyeka too.
Dyson Daniels.
Yeah, like you're giving up a lot of your roster. It's going to be Trey Young, Giannis, and a whole bunch of nobodies. And so like not there's not that many teams that could trade for Giannis and like be able to just like get running to the races right then and there. It might have to be like a year of like regrouping that roster, resetting it, and fitting it around Giannis plus whoever he's with.
One thing I've
Yeah.
noticed with the Giannis to the Thunder, which I
Hmm.
know doesn't like really have legs, but in hypothetical, a lot of Thunder fans say J-Dub is like untouchable. Look, I like him. He's great. There's no way in hell I'm vetoing a trade for Giannis because
Yeah.
of J-Dub. And like, don't get me wrong, you're getting rid of J-Dub. Just because of the contract alone, you're probably losing Aaron Wiggins, and you're losing some picks too.
Mm.
Like, if you're a Thunder fan, and I don't want to say you have to stomach it because it's friggin' Giannis,
Yeah.
you're gonna be happy if you see Giannis in blue,
Hmm.
but you're gonna have to stomach the fact that J-Dub is gone, Aaron Wiggins is gone, and what, four of your first round picks are gone?
It's. I feel like it could be more than that. I feel like
Exactly.
J Dub's a special case because I think like Zion's obviously better than him, but J Dub has maybe higher potential because like lower injury risk and he's a little bit younger, but it's probably a bit close there. But like I don't J Dub, you're not getting many players better than him, especially for the situation of like how young he is and how good like he's still on a rookie contract and he's a All NBA, All Star level player already. Chet and Shea are the only two untouchables on this team though.
And you're not getting a better contract than Aaron Wiggins too, so it's
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
great one. Too.
I would just I don't like the Thunder are totally the like you know every team can 29 or 28 teams are going to send their offers to the Bucks, and then whoever has the best offer, then they're going to bring it to the Thunder and say, "Hey, can you beat this?" Because we have the most picks and the most like good players to trade that for for any other team, nobody else compares. And so, if we want Giannis, we're going to be able to get him.
Although I
I
will
would just be
say,
shocked if like Sam Presti's just not the GM who does that kind of stuff, especially like we would have to lose in this next round, I think, and for it to be bad for us to trade for Giannis. Like J-Dub would have to be terrible. Um, I don't even know what would have to go wrong really. I don't see a Giannis trade happening for the Thunder. We're too young to blow it up right now, I think. Like if we were a year from now and we were still losing in the second round, then I could see it.
Although I will say, if the Thunder get Giannis, that's the greed they talk about in the Bible, and that's not fair, and they should
Dude,
not allow this because
if
it's
we
stupid
trade
and
for
not fair.
Giannis and we don't like three-peat, I would be sad. I mean, three-peating is so
You
hard,
should go,
especially in today's
you
league,
should
but
go
like
81 and 1
yeah,
if you
like
get Giannis, with
totally.
all due respect.
Yeah, that would be I would be really excited. It would like our window right now is people say windows in the NBA are smaller than you think, and I feel like the Thunder's window is pretty big. The contracts are gonna have to start paying people, but I feel like they've mostly figured that out with like when Hartenstein's contract ends, that's when Case and Wallace picks up and stuff. Um, Scott, you good? Is he raising his hand? I don't know, but so
You froze
Oh,
it.
yeah.
you, yeah, you both cut out for a minute there.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I was saying that like the way that the Thunder's contracts are lined up, we're set for the future. We're going to be able to pay Chet and J Dub when the time comes. So I don't think the contract like is gonna the contract ceiling for us is gonna hurt us that much. But I do think if we got Giannis, like it would just fast track everything so much that like you would have to win your finals basically the next season, if not multiple. I would be excited. It would just kind of it would lessen your window from like 10 years to like 5 or less. So that would be the only caveat, but also, I mean, we would instantly, if we're not already, become the best team in the league. So it's, give and take. I'd be excited about it for sure, but it would be a little bit bittersweet to lose J-Dub because he's one of my
You
favorite players.
you go from probably being better than the Cavs to probably being on paper the greatest team in NBA history with Shea and Giannis and Chet
Yeah.
and literally whatever
And would
excess of
still
you
have
want.
pretty good depth, probably.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
Like
should
because
the team
yeah,
would just be all
we'd
time.
still have Caruso, who like he's still got another at least probably 2 years of good like great play behind him or in front of him. Aaron Wiggins, I would imagine they want in that deal because he's got like star potential. I don't think Aaron Wiggins is
Oh
ever
yeah,
gonna
he's
be.
gone.
I don't think he's ever gonna
He's
be like a
gone.
25 point per game guy, but he's gonna like at the. I think his lowest ceiling is like one of the best six men in the league, if not starting power forward, small forward level player.
Hmm.
Like I think they might want a big in the trade. Like the contracts and stuff is weird because they're a second apron team, so they can't go over, they can't accumulate more contracts than they're getting in. Like they would probably want some sort of big, whether it's Jay Will or I don't think that we would try. We'd probably do our best to not give up Hartenstein, but if we had to, like I'd be fine with it because a Giannis Chet front court is like that's so
No
exciting,
fair.
man. Like that is so crazy defensively.
Ridiculous.
Like no, like how do you score in the paint there? You just don't. Um,
Like think about it. Arguably
Pray.
one of the best, one of if not the best front court is Mobley Allen. But then if you said, "Oh, what about Giannis and Chet?" You're like, "Well, you're just making shit up. Like that's not
yeah.
viable." That's like saying, "Oh yeah, Jokic and Embiid, that's the best front court." But then it happens, so it's
Hmm.
like it's not even fair.
Yeah, we can move on from the Giannis trade, but there's a lot of different situations, and I'm sure we'll revisit it in like the next couple of weeks when stuff starts to roll more. Because if he does ask out, it'll happen within a month from now, because that's when the season will end, and NFL the NBA offseason just kicks off right like immediately. I kind of hope he I don't know if I hope he gets traded because like I ideally would want him to retire as a Buck and like have a great career there, but they just have zero window to win in the next couple of years. And the report that came out right after Dame got hurt was right after that they lost the series was like it was likely that Dame was going to ask out or be traded this offseason because the Bucks saw the ceiling anyways. So like and now they can't trade him because who's trading for Dame? So it's a weird situation. I think that they just like we saw their peak in the last couple of years. They've been a first round exit for like 4 years in a row now. Obviously injuries and stuff happen, but like regardless, first round exit happens, and like you have to make adjustments. Kyle Kuzma is not the adjustment that's going to win you the championship. And
He'll
if you're the
save the
Bucks, I think
franchise.
like you did it with Kareem. I think you have to bite the bullet and do it again. It's it's tough to trade a top 15, top 20 player of all time, but like if you care about the future of your franchise over the best player in your franchise, that like which you should, I think that's the best move for them.
Hmm.
Giannis and Luca getting traded in the same calendar year would be
Yeah, that'd be
the
crazy.
most ridiculous thing I've seen in an NBA season probably ever.
Yeah.
Like, has there ever been two names moved in the same year that big in any
Uh,
sport?
Not that like instantly comes to mind. Maybe there's something, but like I mean,
I can't
Yeah.
think of it.
Giannis, in my opinion, is already a top like at the lowest. I'm putting him like 17th all time, and
Well, yeah.
Luca, I don't know where I would rank him. He's like top 75, top 50, but I don't know at what like where he ranks. But like his peak is probably top 25, top 20 player of all time if he figures out his whole bunch of stuff. We can touch on that very soon. Let's move on to the West though. That's enough Giannis talk. We'll have more in the summer. We'll start off same as we did in the East. First, one seed versus the eight. The Thunder swept the Grizzlies. What do you guys feel about this series? Obviously I loved it because I'm a Thunder fan, and I saw the sweep happening. It was pretty. It felt kind of obvious to me. I know a lot of people. I think Chase, you had it in five, right?
I had a sweep for this one, and
Mm-hmm.
you were right about you were talking about how Caruso was going to be the X factor for this series.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
He was
that
so dude. He was so
performance
good,
Caruso had in Game Three
dude.
was maybe the best defensive performance I've ever seen by a guard in my entire life. It felt like he was deflecting every single pass.
Mhm.
Anyone who tried to go at him, it was a turnover. I've I've never seen a guard play defense like that in my life. It
Dude,
was so much
Jaron
fun to watch.
Jackson would have the ball, and he would like literally just go up to him like it was his dad, and just like rip the ball clean out of him. It happened like three times in the fourth. Like, dude, so I was working when that game happened, and I I went to the bathroom and I checked my phone, and it was halftime. I got like the real notification. It said like Thunder were down like 25. I was like, whoa, like, what the hell? I was not expecting that at all. That was crazy. And so I just figured, we're going to lose. And then I didn't check my phone again until the end of the game, and I saw we won. I ran home so fast to go check, like, to go watch the recap of that game. I watched the entire thing. Like, I mean, that first half, because that was really kind of the only exciting game of that series. It was kind of just
Yeah.
like the Thunder were beating them down. The other three games, I mean, they blew them out in game one, the biggest or second biggest win in playoff history, I think it was. Um,
Mhm.
But that third game, man, that comeback was a 27-point comeback was the peak of it, I think. And like they just beat him down. Ja got hurt, which obviously played a big part in it, but like Desmond Bain, I want to get into a bit how just horrible he was, especially in that game, but in general in the series, he wasn't very good. In that game specifically, though, like he was a huge reason why they ended up losing that game. He was like chucking up half court shots and stuff and just taking like ill advised threes. He really was not helping their case at all. I think he went 0 for 4 in the fourth quarter. He didn't score a single point. They just like that blown lead was just so embarrassing, just demoralizing. It's not. I don't know if it's on the coaching or on the players or who, but like that was just crazy. That just showed how good of a team the Thunder are, and that really like that made me so much more confident in this team than I already was. Feel for sure now like we can win the West with no question.
Uh, I don't want to be mean to this series because,
Hmm.
they all do deserve talking time and you're a Thunder fan. Besides Caruso and Bane, everything happened that was supposed to happen here.
For the most
The
part,
Thunder
yeah.
were supposed to kick their ass. They kicked their ass.
Hmm.
I mean, I had them in a sweep, but like I was pretty on the fence because I thought Ja was gonna have like a 40-point game out of nowhere
Yeah,
and like take one, but like which is
Ja was
something like
not
the
good in this
Heat or
series.
even which yeah, which like the Heat didn't have like a Ja the even the Magic really like
Hmm.
on a like could blow up for 45 didn't really have that. So like it's not like an indictment on the Thunder that they would have gotten a game over like the Cavs or the Magic, but I just think the Grizz were a better team. But like
They won
overall, I feel
50
like
games. Like this
right.
isn't the
But
Grizzlies are not that bad of a team, but they like if you compare them to the Heat, like the Grizzlies might have swept the Heat or 1-5 or something. Like
yeah,
but
but like
like it's
overall, what
crazy.
happened happened. It was supposed to happen. There's
Yeah.
no player here besides Bane, and I guess if you really want to get pedantic about it, Marvin Bagley had 17 points because they were getting blown out so bad.
Yeah, I mean,
But the I think
Jaren played
but
solid in this series. I'll give him that.
maybe I don't know ball. I had no idea Marvin Bagley was even on the Grizzlies, which I know is probably bad looks, but like,
He,
what happened happened.
I mean,
They got
he's
blown
not,
out.
he's not a starter for them or like even a
Yeah,
main bench contributor.
yeah.
He
The
really only
Thunder
started
showed,
playing a lot for them in the second half of the season.
yeah, the Thunder showed that they're the best team in the West, and they beat a 51 team, and they made them look like the 37-1 Heat. So I
It's
feel like
true.
what happened happened, and what was supposed to happen happened.
Yeah. I do have some stats from the series though, and I just like I love that you gave that speech about Caruso because like I think I spam tweeted when I was watching that game, like when I was reviewing it because like that Caruso like I said I think like taking account for size I think he's the best defender in the league and I still feel that way like he just like was able to defend every single player from Ja to Jaren Jackson in the series and just completely clamped them. Just everybody had their worst plays of the game when he was guarding them. Like this Thunder team is so good defensively. They have so many guys who can play, but you can if Casey Wallace is on you or Isaiah Joe or like Shea, J Dub, whatever. Like they're awesome defenders. J Dub is a really good perimeter defender, and like the rest of them are pretty good too. And like Dort's awesome as well. But like when Caruso goes on you, it really just feels like you have no chances to win that play and like he's just phenomenal. But
Yeah,
the few other notes I had, Shea struggled a bit in the series. I feel like it was more a matchup thing than a like Shea is bad in the playoffs type thing. We saw him be the best player in the Mavericks series last year against Luka and Kyrie. So I'm not, I'm so confident and against the Nuggets he's going to fry them. This series was just not great for him. Like they walled up with Zach Edey and Jaren Jackson in the paint. And it really clogged things up for them. He was a good passer this series, but they just he wasn't able to find his shots very well. It happens, whatever. J Dub was awesome in this series. He averaged 23, 5 and 5, two stocks, 59 true shooting. He played really consistently well. I feel like that was the one thing that people were going to point to before the playoffs started was, I could see this Thunder team not reaching the potential heights that they could if J Dub's not great in the playoffs. And this first round series really made me feel a lot more confident that he'll be good moving on in the other rounds. Just every look he got was pretty good. He was a good shooter. He was really able to command this offense when Shea was having his down games. The other thing that really stood out to me is how great Chet was. He shot the ball so well this series.
yeah, he
Um,
did.
he shot 42.5% from three this series on 6.5 attempts. This season, he averaged 38% on 3.6 attempts. So, like, he just stepped it up so well. I think he had one game where he made like five or six threes. Um, it's just, he really impressed me a lot. He obviously was awesome on defense, but his shot making really was a huge thing for them. And if he can continue that, like, there's just really nothing that's going to be able to stop this offense. They were just firing on all cylinders. The bench was coming in and making shots well. This team just impressed me a lot, but I don't want to hoard it too much because it's my team. Do you guys have anything else from this series that you really wanted to touch on?
All I want to say is for my notes for this series, all I put was belt to ass.
That's pretty
That's the
valid.
only thing I wrote for this series that I needed to, and well, also for the Cavs, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, this one was clear belt to ass, and that's all
yeah, yeah.
the thing was. Everyone cooked.
Yeah, it was a beatdown. Um, I guess like another question I have is for the Grizzlies' future. What do you guys feel about John Morant with this team? Like, do you think he's the long-term point guard there? Is he
No,
like, what do you
uh,
think the
this
situation is?
fluky. This felt fluky. I mean, if I could be wrong. I might be thinking of someone else. I think he was a little injured, like beginning of the season.
Yeah,
Um,
he was kind of injured throughout the year. He was
yeah.
playing through a
I
lot this
mean,
year.
I don't want to make this argument because it doesn't sound super like statistical, but you'll get what I mean. He's still Ja Morant.
I get what
Um,
you mean. Yeah, yeah.
he's been great. He continues to be great. Most players, and besides like the Giannis's and the Lucas and the '09 LeBrons or whatever,
Hmm.
but like a lot of great players have down seasons, and also the Grizzlies were just like they had a weird season. Like they were the two seed for felt like most of the year, or at least a
Yeah,
lot of it, and then they completely fell off, uh, missing games. They fired their head coach. Like it kind of felt like in the post All
hmm.
Star, the team panicked and they kind of never really left that panicking state.
Mm.
And I feel like next season things will reset, Ja will be better. Um, I don't like Jaren Jackson Jr., but like he's good. I think he'll be fine. I like Edie a lot actually. I think Edie got a lot too much hate in the draft. I wasn't like high on him or anything, but I thought
Yeah,
he
he was
got too
big
much
for them
hate.
this series.
Yeah, he showed that he was, especially in the regular season, he was damn
Mm.
efficient. He might have been like one of the more efficient rookies.
Yeah, yeah.
Very impactful one, but yeah, I wouldn't panic too hard on the Grizzlies. Like if they're bad next year, I'm selling my stocks immediately. But like after this, after the weird season, after a 50-win team gets you the eighth seed, I'm not gonna panic too hard on the Grizzlies, at least not yet.
Okay.
I agree with that. I think they're fine with what they have right now. I'm interested to see what they do this offseason. I don't think they should like trade Bain or Jackson or Morant or any of that stuff
Mm.
this year.
Yeah, yeah.
I do think Edie will be interesting because I wasn't really a huge fan of him all year. I don't think he was very good. I think he fouled a lot.
I agree.
Uh, I think he just does a lot of dumb things
Mm-hmm.
that could be easily fixed. So I'm not out on him. I think he will end up being a good player, but if he keeps getting rebounds and bringing the ball down to his
Thank
knees
you.
when he's
Oh my
7 foot
God.
five, you learn not to do
In
this
like
in
second
like
grade.
fourth grade.
Yeah, yeah.
And he does it every single time he gets a rebound. It drives
Mm.
me insane while I watch him play. That one change would get him probably like 10 points a game. He would
Yeah.
just off tip-ins.
It's
But
like the
I
coach
think he'll be fine.
overcorrected.
I don't know.
Hopefully he
It's
takes
probably a
like a
coaching thing.
Zubac
Yeah.
career arc.
Yeah,
I think he totally
Yeah.
could. That
yeah.
I
I think hopefully he takes like a Zubac career arc because I
Yeah.
think he could end up being like that type of impactful player for a team.
Yeah. I watched him every year at Purdue. As a Rutgers fan, hated him there. But like saying that, like seeing enough of his career at this point, I don't think he has a lateral quickness that for Zubac. It's not like Zubac is the fastest player, but I feel if Zubac is guarding certain players on the perimeter, I feel fine with it. Whereas like sometimes with Edie, I think he can get a little too stone footed and get blown by a lot. But like as an interior defender, he's one of the best in the league. Just off of his pure size, he's a great shot blocker. Obviously, one of the best rebounders already in the league. I think he's got a lot to improve on. Like you said, him bringing down the ball like every single time almost is just so infuriating. But I feel like I'm sure plenty of other centers, like dominant centers, have done that in their past, and he can fix that in one off season and like he just
Mhm.
catch it and just start dunking it. Like you said, that's an extra 6, 8, 10 points every game. As
Hey,
for Ja though, I don't know. I guess give him another year, but I'm a little questioning. I feel like this team's ceiling, the way it's built right now, was seen when they got the 2 seed and then lost to the Lakers in the first round. I had them winning. I think I had them as like the 3 seed this year for my preseason projections, but they just I don't know. I don't think that they're gonna reach higher heights than even like this season. And with teams like the Spurs, who are Giannis trade away from. I mean, I don't think that they'll trade for Giannis, but even if they don't, like I think they'll be a potential playoff team next year. They were almost a playoff team this year when Wemby was playing. I wouldn't be surprised if the Grizzlies missed the playoff for them or the Pelicans when they're healthy or something like that. And there's like rumors
I
for them getting KD and stuff. I don't know how much I read into that.
I don't
I like the fit a lot,
I wouldn't
but yeah,
I
I
don't
don't know.
buy it at all. I don't buy it at all.
know.
Okay.
I
If
Well,
think
KD goes out, it's more inevitable.
who do you say?
I think they're a healthy season away from being because I think if they were healthy this year, they're probably the 2 seed.
Yeah.
Because the difference between the
Mm,
2 and the 8 seed was like what 4 wins.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I think they'll be fine. They definitely won't trade for KD. Um,
I think it's
I'll
possible.
be interested to see if KD gets traded. He probably will,
I think he
He's
totally
going.
does.
but
He's
I
on.
think no doubt about it he gets traded.
um, I would rather see KD. And I know that I don't even know how they would get this done, but I'd rather see KD on a team like the Nuggets. But
It's
that's a
KD on the
MP.
different
Nuggets
conversation.
would
It would
be
be
good.
MPJ and like something else. I don't know. Like I don't know how he's got a big enough contract that might just work on its own. I don't know how many picks they have, but like MPJ something else and like 2 firsts is probably enough for him. Maybe even 1 first. Because KD at this point 37, he's on an expiring contract. You don't have to trade that much for him.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right.
All right, so we that was a lot of time on the most decisive series outside of maybe the Heat series. So we can move on to the Warriors being tied 3-3 with the Rockets. This is the 2-7 matchup. Um, we can get into who we have for Game 7 in a bit. I want to recap the series first. When we did our podcast before, I said I thought that there was going to be more games with like where either both teams or one of the teams scores under 100 than games that they both score over 100. There's only one game, and it was game one where both teams scored under 100, and in game two and three, only one team scored under 100 again. Like just in this has been way more of an offensive series than I was expecting. A lot of like it's been slow for sure. It's not like it's been super fast paced, but it's still been way higher scoring than I was expecting. The double big from the Rockets has been so fun. Steven Adams, he's one of my favorite players of all time, and like the way that he's just been able to dominate at his 36 age or something at this point is it's been awesome. He's with him and Sengun on the court together, they were plus 31 in 54 minutes with a 48% offensive rebounding rate. They rebound half of the shots they miss, which is essentially this entire offense. It's just like shoot bad shots, we'll get the rebound, shoot some more bad shots, we'll get the rebound again, and then like inevitably we'll make a layup.
I call it the Jalen Green special.
Yeah, this is an ideal situation for Jalen Green for sure.
It really is.
He
Yeah.
hasn't been great.
I
But
think a big
mhm.
reason. Oh, sorry.
No, no, no,
Oh,
I was gonna ask what were your takeaways from this series.
I think a big reason, and I'm not saying he's a bad player because he's absolutely not. I think a big reason this series has been so offensive is Fred VanVleet's been playing consistently great this series. Which I'm not saying he's a bad player. He's not. He's a
Hmm.
good player, but
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I don't think we expect like over 20 points per game.
Hmm.
Um, not being a cone on defense.
Yeah.
Like I mean, not to do the he knows ball
Hmm.
definition and not back up, but it kind of looks like he's just locked in. Like he is putting everything he is in the series, and it's working. He's not taking dumb
You know what
shots.
they say about
He's
Game 4 Fred VanVleet?
it's true. This will be etched in the history books.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Um.
I think he's a
Yeah. Yeah. Go
big
on.
reason why.
So far this series, he did have the one. Or I guess the first two games he was not very good, but like Game
Yeah, he was pretty
3,
bad.
he had 17 points, which like that was a fine game for him. And since then, 25 and 6, 8 threes, 26 points, 29, 8 and 6 threes again. Like he's been awesome these last three games. He's really been a huge part in them making this 3-3. It was a 3-1 lead at one point, and if they make a 3-1 comeback, that would be just so insane from a team that has no real number one option. Um, yeah, it's true. Like there's been 3-1 comebacks, like a handful of them throughout history, but this might be the craziest one since the Cavs series, honestly, because like this is a Warriors team that they might not be a better team than the Rockets, but this like having a star like the two best players in the series, arguably, or at least the best player in the series, and having the veteran leadership and the experience in the playoffs with like this core being together for four championships for the most part. It's like the coach has been there the whole time, whatever, whatever. And the Rockets have so little experience; they're all so young. It's so impressive that they're able to make this comeback. I want to highlight Amen Thompson, who has just been just awesome in this series. He's defended so well, which that was to be expected, but his offense has been also very consistent and good. He's been able to find his spots just like inside over and over and over again. He's been driving to the paint so well. Obviously, he doesn't have a shot, but like he doesn't need it. He's just been dominating on the inside, and I've been impressed by him a lot.
Um, I honestly think the Rockets' best player has been Steven Adams.
Yeah.
The guy is just, he does have the one flaw where they can kind of play him off the court if they continue to intentionally foul him, but
Hmm.
his
But not even
screening,
really. The
his
last game, he went 9 for 16 from free throws. Like he got into like a
you know
rhythm from the
he
line. He went
made
so many
enough of
times.
them to stay.
Hmm.
Because I mean, if you let someone shoot 16 free throws, he's eventually going to start getting in a rhythm. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he, the fact that the Warriors have so many negative spacers on the floor at once,
Hmm.
Jimmy can't shoot really,
Gary
Draymond can't shoot,
Payton. Yeah.
Gary Payton can't shoot, Quentin Post hasn't even been able to shoot this series. Pods has been a little bit worse than he was at the end of the regular season. They can just have Steven Adams roaming off of somebody who can't shoot, and he's just been annihilating shots in the paint.
Yeah.
Um, the Rockets' offense is so painfully hard to watch when Fred
Yeah.
VanVleet isn't hitting ridiculous
It's
shots.
their
But
offense is so based on like we have no like that's why they like getting a guy like Katie or a Giannis or something would be just so huge for them this offseason because they need some dude who in the clutch they can go to consistently. When there's 5 seconds on the shot clock, they can go to consistently because so often you're seeing either Jalen Green or Fred VanVleet shoot up like a terrible 3-point shot with 2 seconds left because just like shit, I got a grenade, just chuck it. And like
Right.
and then luckily they keep getting the rebounds, so they've been able to stay in these games. But if they don't have Steven Adams out there, this series is over a week ago, and we're just talking about it as a 5 game series. Steven Adams in the series. One second, I had the bookmark tweet. He so far is a plus 53 when he's on the court and a minus 39 when he's off, which plus minus isn't everything, but something that big of a sway shows you how impactful he's been. He's really changed this series so significantly. He's been obviously an elite rebounder. He's been a good interior presence. And Sengun at the 4, I really love that fit. If they don't do a Giannis trade, like I would love to see these two stick together for another season and see maybe how, like if they can reach another level. Because this has been really cool to watch. Sengun has been
Yeah.
awesome too. He's been really good.
another guy that I really have liked for Houston is Jabari Smith. I feel like he's just
Yes.
not
Absolutely.
getting as many minutes as he should
Absolutely.
be getting.
Yeah.
He's shooting the ball really well, and which is nice to see from Houston when you pass the ball to somebody and you actually expect him to make it because
Hmm.
he's one of like two people on their team who has that.
Yeah.
I think he's been good defensively. He's been good on the glass. I wish
Hmm.
he would play more. I feel like he gets like 15, 20 minutes a night, and I
Yeah.
feel like
They
Jalen Green gets
totally.
40,
True.
which I hate.
I
Hmm.
hate Jalen
But
Green.
Yeah. We can
yeah,
get
Jabari
we
Smith has been one of my favorite players this
Yeah,
series.
Jabari Smith, I also he's been awesome. I don't want to overshadow that at all because he's been one of their key components, like you said, shot making, just general offense. But Jalen Green this series, I knew so first off, it's his first series. We said last time that, and I feel like everyone's been saying like we knew it was going to be he wasn't going to be a good playoff player, just the way that he plays. It's been proven by other players that like these like non-pass first, like chuck a lot of threes type of good regular season stat fillers are typically horrible in the playoffs. And I
Yep.
think he had like the one really good game, and what was that, game 2 or 3? And
Yeah.
since then
Game
it's
two,
just
yeah.
yeah, since then it's just been just terrible. He's been played off the court in multiple fourth quarters. Ime has just benched him at points because of how bad he's been, which totally has been the correct decision. He's just like hasn't been good, and I don't know what they do. I'm assuming they look to trade him in this offseason. I don't really know like what his value is. He's making a lot of money, obviously, but like in a player to player comparison, I don't know. I don't really know how many teams are really looking for him. He's kind of just like a negative overall player. You know that he's not a go-to guy in the playoffs, similar to like a Kyle Kuzma who can like get you points in the regular season, but you know he's going to be bad when the postseason comes. Yeah, so it's an interesting situation with him. I hope that he's not on the team next year, just so he can get a fresh start. Because like it's not to say that he's never going to be a good playoff player. It's his first series. He could totally be good. They could win Game 7, and he could be good next series. Who knows? But I just think a fresh start is really what he needs.
I can see that. The
And
real
shout out
question
to Ime
is,
Udoka. He's coached his ass off this
oh,
series. He's
oh
been
yeah.
awesome.
I guess leading the real question is, I've watched Steph Curry in many closeout games,
Hmm.
and all I've seen is him put up 40 points. What do the Rockets need to do, especially with the
Hmm.
probability that Jalen Green puts up 11 points? What do the Rockets have to do to win this game 7?
So I want to say the funniest outcome is them making 27 straight threes and winning. Well, I
Oh,
don't
that
think
would be that would you don't understand how
specifically
important that is to
Jalen
see them
Green
happen.
making 27 in a row. That
If
would be the
Jalen
best.
Green scores like 40 tonight, that will be the funniest thing that's
Buy
happened in
a
the NBA in
Jalen Green
so
jersey
long.
if he puts up 40.
um, so the key is to keep Fred VanVleet off of Steph Curry. Steph in 25 attempts, Steph shooting 70% against him, which is the best single like player versus player matchups in the postseason this year. So like I mean I think Steph just it's Steph and Jimmy Butler like two of the highest best playoff risers ever. I'm expecting the Warriors to win this game just because like I just trust them in the clutch more. I could like what I'm expecting. I was watching Zach Lowe's podcast and he said this and I totally feel the same way. Like I already know what the script is going to be, where it's like close game going down to the wire, like 2 minutes left, whatever, and then it's just like Steph three, Jimmy mid range, Steph three, game over. Like, and that's
Yep.
Yeah.
like that's just kind of what I'm expecting to happen here. I almost want to root for the Rockets just to like a Timberwolves Rocket series.
Oh, I am.
I would have the Timberwolves, and spoiler, I have the Timberwolves for either series, whoever wins this. But
Yep.
Oh
like
yeah.
I think the Rockets would it'd just be super just different and exciting to have them make it versus the Warriors, which I feel like I can kind of see what's going to happen a little more. The Rockets is a little more unexpected, I guess. Um, I'm excited for this game seven though. I think it's gonna be a good game.
I believe so as well. And we've had some brutal game sevens lately.
Yeah.
So I really do think that this one's going to be a fun one.
Hmm.
Specifically, of course, we didn't mention either of them, but it has to say Dylan Brooks and Draymond Green going against each other in a playoff series is always peak television. I
Hmm.
remember I was
Mhm.
watching them want to kill each other at the bar. Like that was funny.
Yeah.
Everyone was watching it because it's funny. And they're both, I don't want, okay, they're not both great players. Like Dylan Brooks is obviously worse
Yeah.
than Draymond Green, but as someone who shockingly hates the Warriors, I'm very excited for this game because I will be putting all of my stock into the Rockets as a spite move.
Hmm. All right. Fair enough.
Dylan Brooks has actually been a lot better than I even noticed watching the series. I
Yeah.
saw when he was
Yeah.
shooting a free throw the other day, they're like, "Oh, he's averaging 15 points. He's shooting 45% from three
Hmm.
and 50% from the field." I was like, "Have I just not been paying attention?" I feel like he hasn't been that great, but apparently he has.
He's been
So
shooting really well.
The
He did
league,
have the one game that he was like I don't mean to interrupt you. He did have the one game that he scored like 27 in or something. But
mhm.
outside of, like he's
because I
been
have
decent
missed a
outside of
couple of
that.
the games.
He had 24 points in game six, but then
Yeah.
in game five rather, but in game six then he had 3 points. So like
Yeah,
it's give and take with him.
The league is better when
I
Dylan Brooks is even decent. It just is.
yeah,
Sure.
the duck back there, the Oregon legend, Dylan Brooks. Um, I think the Warriors will win Game Seven.
Me
Honestly, I think we might get another boring Game Seven. I think the
I think
Warriors
so
will
too.
win pretty handedly.
Best case
I
scenario is the
just can't
Steph
bet.
clutch moments though.
I would love that. I just can't bet against Curry and Jimmy Butler and the experience and
Mm,
all these things that through history have kind of shown to be more reliable in a Game Seven.
hmm.
I also shit talked the Rockets all year, and I'm gonna have to answer for a lot of bookmarks
Yeah.
if they win, if they make a 3-1 comeback against the Warriors.
That would be so crazy.
But I do think Curry can't have a legacy of two, like probably the two worst 3-1 chokes ever, and that have
No,
happened in the
I'm
league. I
sorry.
can't
Under
Um,
really.
Warriors is
yeah, I
way
can't.
worse than
I
that.
can't think of a single other 3-1 comeback that Steph Curry has played a part in besides 2016 versus
Yeah,
Cavs
man.
and
It's
this.
really strange. Yeah, really strange for me.
There is no other one that we need to mention. Um, uh, so I did have a few like a few things I wanted to say. Um, what was your so like Dylan Brooks said in a press conference that like he's going at Steph's thumb, like he's like, trying to hit it after he contests and stuff like that. And then Steve Kerr had a post conference where he was like just saying how dirty that is, how like the NBA should get rid of that, how players are gonna
That's
like
right.
get hurt and stuff, like they're gonna like somebody's gonna break their hand or something, and then somebody's gonna like the NBA is finally gonna step in. Do you guys feel like that's like a what is your opinions really?
He's a blatant hypocrite. He plays Draymond every game, and Draymond's a dirty ass player. I kind of don't have sympathy when people play the Warriors dirty. I really don't.
I
Fair
don't
enough.
mind dirty players.
Hmm.
Um, it
Well, I
depends
don't
on
mind
how
him.
dirty,
I
obviously,
I
but
That's
just
how I
don't
feel
think you
too.
can bitch it.
There's a
oh yeah,
limit
I
to
wasn't
like
trying
what
to
you can
imply
do.
that, but yeah, like if you're out there like literally Saints bounty gating people's kneecaps
Yeah, like
and
that's
like
different. Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
hurt them, which you could argue is what Dylan Brooks is trying to do. I don't really think Dylan Brooks has like tried to break his hand.
Hmm.
I
No.
think he's like swatting at it
Yeah,
after he
he's just
shoots,
trying to
which is
like
not
hit it
really
with
not
his
going to do
finger a few
anything.
times to like have it like throb for a little
Well,
while. Like,
I mean, come on, he's talking himself.
Honestly, I think that's ethical. I'm biased towards Dylan Brooks because he went to Oregon, but I, I
ethical
think
is not the
I
word
don't
I
see
would
him.
use.
That's an
Dylan Brooks, ethical
ethical.
basketball player. He
Yeah,
That
is
is an
that's
very
ethical basketball player. He plays for the
interesting.
love of the game and he cares about winning.
true passion, really.
And people say that this era of basketball isn't like the '90s. The players don't go at each
It's
other.
true.
Dylan Brooks is proof
He
That's
of
a
that
great
not being
point.
he
true.
That's a great point.
he believes Bill Laimbeer is the goat.
Mm, so true.
But
Don't we
yeah,
all?
I don't have a problem with it. And Steve Kerr saying that is kind of funny when Draymond is out there
Yeah,
right hooking people like every other game. So
I feel like Steve Kerr, like I tend to agree with him. Like I think it's not great that Dylan Brooks is doing this. Like I really don't like it. I it's understandable because I think like you just kind of do like Dylan Brooks said, when some dude has a bum ankle, like you try to drive him to that side, or like they, like have a messed up shoulder, you try to drive him to like shoot with that side or whatever. But like, and so it's like I get it, but that's different than like trying to make him like dribble with the right hand more, so he's using his thumb versus like I'm trying to hit like that's like oh this dude's got a bum ankle, so I'm going to like jump on his foot every time he makes a jumper, and I'm gonna get too close, so like he twists his ankle more. Like that's kind of what he's doing, and I feel like it's making it a little too much. Like I don't know, and also like Steph is getting I mean Steph has always had like a terrible whistle, but this series there have been like
his
probably
whistle's been
15
horrible.
like yeah it's been abysmal. I don't know, I forget the exact number that the Rockets are out free throw shooting them. I think it's like 55 free throws. Like they have more free throws than the Warriors this series, but Steph is
And
shooting threes and getting like fully tackled in midair, and the refs are calling
Hmm.
nothing. It's always
I
been a thing for him, but this series it's like every shot. It's really insane.
Yeah, it's
I
a
will say Curry
sorry.
sucks
Hmm.
at foul baiting.
Oh,
Like
horrible. Yeah.
he'll pump
Good,
fake and then try to shoot with
good.
his left hand. Like
Hmm.
you're obviously like he just clearly isn't part of his game.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Butler gets all the calls because he's kind of solved foul baiting.
Hmm.
Um,
The ultimate foul baiter.
but yeah, Curry just has never really been able to get calls because it's just not something he's not very good at exaggerating contact and
Hmm.
Hmm.
he does get like genuinely fouled and still doesn't get calls though. So I don't really know
Yeah.
what he could do. Maybe he just has to sell it more. But yeah,
His
as far as the Rockets out shooting them, it's obviously they go inside more. They've also given Adams like 40 free throws
Yeah.
without having him actually having to earn them. So that
Yeah.
plays a part in it.
Well,
But
they've attempted like
yeah,
50 more. They've made like I think the exact like basically the same amount, if not probably the Rockets
oh
having
yeah, the
like
Rockets get shoot free
yeah, because the
throws.
Rockets like are going 50% from the line every game, which is just infuriating. Like just make your goddamn free throws, and this like you could have maybe won the series already. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, it's crazy. Do you anything else from this series? I want to shout out Braxton Key for the comeback in Game 6 that they almost made. Dude, that all right. I want to get into that a little bit. So the Warriors, like Steve Kerr is notorious for like, oh, I'm losing this game a lot. I'm just gonna pull my starters at halftime. And like that happened in Game 6 where they were down, whatever, they were down like 40 or something. So like I understand it. Or it was like 30. So I understand like subbing your starters, but then the bench unit made a comeback. They brought it to within like 8 points, and then you just like you don't put the starters back out there. The Rockets put their starters back out there, and then they stomp them out, and they end up winning by like 20 or something. But the Warriors like they just left Steph and Draymond and all them on the bench, and so like Pat Spencer and TJD and Braxton Key and whoever else it was that was out there getting this comeback, it was completely for no reason because like Steve Kerr did nothing to actually like use that comeback. It was that was infuriating.
Steve Kerr lives and dies by playing the hot hand.
Hmm.
So like, let's say he does pull starters, they're playing well. I think he's the kind of guy where maybe he's not superstitious, but he believes in they're cooking, they're going to continue to cook. These guys are cold, and even though they're better, I don't
I guess I don't
want to
know.
play
That's
them.
just
But
bad
that's like,
coaching though. So like if
but
that's his
but maybe
reasoning,
that's
then
just yeah. I'm about to say maybe that's just like blatantly bad justification from my
hmm
end, and The real thing is that he just makes bad calls sometimes. Like he's still a great
Yeah.
coach, I believe, but
Speaking of bad calls,
sometimes
why is Kaminga starting a game and then the next game getting DNPs? Like it
I
makes
don't even know what
it,
to think about Kaminga, man.
and
He
then and,
just shows up, he's
yeah,
good, and then
and
he's not, and
and
then
then
I
his
don't
game
know.
six post his presser he's like he's saying, "Oh, hey, Kaminga's 100% on the table for playing like major minutes in Game 7." Like you're just realizing now, like, oh shit, I've got a 6'10", really good like solid defender, good shot maker on my bench. Maybe I should play him a lot in Game 7. Like it's just Steve Kerr makes no sense to me at all.
Boston T, or
My
Boston T.
my main gripe with Steve Kerr has always been that his rotations suck and
Hmm.
make
They're
no
bad.
sense and are incredibly inconsistent. And this is why I didn't want him to coach Team USA. And I think he made our path to the gold medal way more difficult than it had to be. You had
Yeah,
like the most portable player in the NBA benched for pretty much every single medal
yeah,
game,
that was strange.
which made no sense. Um, yeah, his rotations make no sense. I remember I was watching the game because a couple of my roommates are Warriors fans, and the Rockets are just hitting shot after shot. They're like, "All right, turn this shit off." So we turned it off. We're watching NHL or whatever, and um, I check my phone. I'm like, "Dude, the Warriors are down 11." He's like, "What?" It's like, "How much time is left?" I'm like, "There's 6 minutes left." And we go turn the game back on, and their bench is in for the rest of the game, and we're like, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
Like
like
you
down
literally you
11,
have 6 minutes,
6 minutes.
which is an
That is
eternity.
plenty of, yeah. That's so much. You could end up winning by 10 in that time. Like it make
No,
especially
it's
with
just
Steph
it's stupid,
Curry.
especially when you have Steph Curry and
Yeah,
Jimmy Butler on your
dude,
team.
that is
It's stupid. It
that
made
is
no sense.
that's three threes away from being a one possession game, and that is not inconceivable at all. Like Steph could go out there and just hit three straight threes on three back-to-back possessions. Like
Yeah,
it
it's
just
not
it
It was just
yeah,
bad coaching.
that annoyed me a lot because they 100% could have and maybe should have won that series in game six, like just close it out right there.
yeah.
Mhm.
All right, so I feel like that's enough for that series. We can move on to the 3 versus 6 matchup, which was the Lakers losing in 5 to Minnesota.
I want to talk about this one first.
Yeah, yeah, go.
Okay. So all right, I want to put this disclaimer out there first. Um, I love LeBron.
Hmm.
I'm a Cavs fan, and that's why I
Mhm.
picked the Lakers. It was a biased pick. However, one agenda made me smile. On Twitter, Rudy Gobert gets all the shit in the world.
It's true.
Yes,
I
bro.
think Rudy is a great player. So watching Rudy put 28 points up and 24 rebounds, oh boy, my narratives are cooking. And as someone who's let's just say made some good money off the Timberwolves almost exclusively, this even though my pick was wrong, I'm very happy this happened like this. And if this and I'm not going to say Rudy's going to put up 28 and 24 again, but
Hmm.
if this sort of consistent like rising happens, I I see a very clear path of Thunder T Wolves going 7 in the Western Conference Finals. I think the T Wolves. I've always been a T Wolves supporter, even though I picked LeBron because I love LeBron. But this T Wolves team I think is really good. Jaden McDaniels, like, what was he averaging like 20 points this series?
Yeah,
Like
he
20 a
he was
game.
he was so good. He was
Every
awesome in this series.
every player was
He was
firing on all cylinders.
frying. He was frying
Julius
Austin Reeves.
Randle got the playoff
Yeah, he
monkey
had a
off his
30-point
back.
game.
Man. Yeah, Julius Randle got the playoff monkey off his back. Anything that could have wrong for them. I mean, Ant shot 0 for 11 from three in a closeout game, and they still won by like 10. This was a not only a signature win, but it's a win to prove that this is truly a legit team, and that's being the sixth seed was kind of fake.
Hmm.
Like they should have been
Um,
higher.
yeah. So you mentioned Julius Randle. I have a question later on of like which player was like surprised you the most, whether it's positive or negative. And my answer is Julius Randle. I expected him. So my original take, I had the Lakers, or sorry, the Timberwolves winning this in 7. I think I had it. But then after talking to you, Chase, you like convinced me to take the Lakers, which is
We
terrible.
fell for the
That
propaganda, bro.
Yeah, that sucked. But like I had the Timberwolves just because I figured Anthony Edwards was gonna get whatever he wanted in the series, which he did. I figured Rudy was gonna dominate because of just how little like of a center situation the Lakers had, and he did in basically every game. Especially that game 5 from Rudy was just like that was so exciting to watch. it's not like I'm the biggest Rudy Gobert fan or anything. Like I've always liked him, but not anything crazy. But the way he just like, I mean, it was just so like obvious what he should have been doing since game one, but he finally figured out in game five, and that was really fun to be able to like see it finally click in his head that like I'm the only tall person on this court. I'm the only person with 7 foot plus. I could just grab every rebound and then put up every putback, and they have nothing. Like they can do nothing about it. It's like playing like when you go to like your park or like your local rec or like your gym at school, and you have like some really athletic dude at the gym who's everyone else is like 5'8", so he's just dunking everything, and you're just like standing watching. Like that's basically what the Lakers are doing.
Rudy Gobert finally realized that they're playing me at center on the Lakers, and that I'm very easily dunkable.
Yeah,
Uh, and that was fun to see. Absolutely.
yeah.
There
So
was
go
three
on.
things
Yeah,
about
yeah,
this series that we talked about, Jack, last
yeah.
time that we were just completely wrong about.
Hmm.
One was the Timberwolves. These first two are kind of play off each other. The Timberwolves' fourth quarter offense was going to be terrible because it was terrible all year, and it put them in way more clutch games than they needed to be in.
Yeah.
Their fourth quarter offense was ridiculous. Anthony Edwards got pretty much whatever he wanted. They came back from a
Hmm.
deficit multiple times, and
Yeah,
they
yeah.
closed out. And then to lead into the second point, we were talking about how we couldn't see a team with Luka and LeBron on the court at the same time not being able to close better than, or would be able to close better than the
Yeah,
Timberwolves.
yeah, yeah.
And LeBron, outside of I think one game, wasn't really good in any of the fourth quarters, and Luka was bad in all of them, which I think probably speaks more to his conditioning because he just couldn't play entire games.
Yeah, he was like
And
exhausted.
then the third point is we could not have been more physically wrong about Julius Randle. He was amazing on both sides of the ball this series.
Hmm.
Um, he was getting whatever he wanted in the paint. He was shooting well. He was playing. He was like a
Yeah.
cone in New York, but he was a great defender in this series.
Honestly, it felt like every shot he took in this series, for the most part, was a good shot. Like I never found because there's so often in New York where you would watch the games and you would just be like, oh my God, Julius Randle, like what are you doing taking that shot? A 3-pointer with 20 seconds left on the shot clock, or like a contested step back three. Like what the hell are you doing? And this series, it just like he was getting open consistently. When he wasn't getting open, he was hunting the mismatches. He was like using his
Mm.
size over the smaller defenders consistently and backing them down. He was good in the interior. He was playing solid defense. Um, like he matched. Like what I think I mentioned this in the last podcast, where I thought because he obviously the size wise he could match up with Luca and LeBron, but I figured hit the athleticism for them, like they were going to be able to use that against him and blow by him or get step backs and stuff on him. But like they're both, they're Luca's athleticism is just so low at this point, and LeBron is 40, so his
So
athleticism's
cooked.
gone down enough where look, Julius Randle was able to stay in front of them enough and play really solid defense on both of them the entire time. And whether if he was on DFS or Rui, it's not like you have to do too much to guard them too. Like he really impressed me a lot this series, and him playing this well, I think it raises their ceiling so much higher. Like I don't think that they're going to beat the Thunder. I'd be really surprised if they did, honestly. But I don't. It's not out of the question at this point. If Julius Randle, I think he'll have an ugly series if he plays us. But like if he keeps playing this well, especially if he goes through next round and plays awesome again, I don't like. I'm gonna probably have them in. I probably have the Thunder in 7 instead of 6. Like this this team, they just looked awesome against the Lakers. They really just hunted them on every mismatch. Austin Reeves was horrible. You can you can touch on that, yeah.
The one other thing I wanted to say was that Rudy Gobert like gets flamed for these clips where he gets like switched out onto the perimeter.
Hmm.
And this series, Luca lost almost every single
Yeah,
one-on-one on the perimeter he had with Gobert. He
Yeah.
only beat him, I
Yeah.
think, one time
yeah, yeah.
to like where he actually cooked him, which was like his first possession on him the entire series.
Hmm.
Gobert,
I know. Yeah, that
I
was the first
said
possession. You're right.
going into the playoffs that he was my defensive player of the year, um, and I think he just proved it. I think he was fantastic. He was a complete stalwart in the paint. And the fact that he clipped Luka on the perimeter was the craziest thing I've seen. Um, he's just a ridiculous anchor and such a generational defender. I've just never seen anything like him before.
Man,
I should have
I
put more Rudy propaganda on Twitter, man. I wanted to
so
do it
true.
so bad, and I this time I just didn't have the balls to do it. I got flamed
like,
so hard for them against the Mavericks last year,
mhm.
and I didn't do it this year. Ugh,
Man,
what a missed opportunity.
I just hope Luca can figure it out this offseason. Like
Mhm.
he's gonna have a whole offseason to just
I
get
saw
in
he's gonna
better
play
shape.
Eurobasket.
Yeah, that just came out like an hour before this. So that's interesting. I mean, it's good for him to keep in shape, but it does worry me that he's gonna have basically an entire year nonstop of basketball in him because he already had
Mm.
the Olympics last year too. Like that's just a lot of nonstop over and over, like nonstop going. And Eurobasket is it's intense. You know, it's a lot harsher than the NBA. It's a lot more physical, and so he'll obviously dominate in that. He's always been good in Euro basketball, but it's I don't know. It is just I hope that he can figure it out and get in shape. I know it's been years now of people saying that, and people when he went to the Lakers it was like, oh, he's going with LeBron, he's finally going to figure it out. But like, LeBron doesn't care that much about basketball at this point in his career. He's not he's not convincing Luca to lose 80 pounds. But I hope Luca could figure it out on his own because he was one of the best players of all time when he was in his peak of his powers with the Mavericks. You know,
One
Yeah.
thing,
yeah.
uh, we didn't mention this, and I only want to touch on it a little bit. We didn't mention it way earlier when we
Mm.
were talking. One big difference with Julius Randle, how he's playing, no Tibbs. I don't know how much stock there is in that,
Yeah.
but
He
with
also has a
a
better
coach
backup
that,
big behind
yeah,
him.
it's true, but with a coach that has far better rotations and trusts
Yeah.
his bench, this it, it feels like a bit
Nas
of an
Reed, man.
indictment on Tibbs.
Shout out Nas Reed.
I love Nas Reed. Who doesn't love Nas Reed?
Yeah, like and
So good.
another thing with the T Wolves, like that helps Julius Randle compared to the Knicks and stuff is, like you said, their depth is just so much better. They have like
Yeah,
they have like eight
Hmm.
to ten guys who they can legitimately play in the playoffs, and like not many teams you could say the same for. And for the Lakers, you can definitely not say that. I mean, to the point where JJ
they were
Redick
the
was playing them basically his starting five. He played them for an entire first half, and was basically playing them the entire game.
yeah.
He gave up on Jackson Hayes entirely because it was the correct decision. He was unplayable in this series. He was just simply god awful. I wouldn't be surprised if he
Yep.
doesn't get signed by a team this offseason. Like he's just bad at basketball, to put it simply.
Oh, yeah, he's legitimately not good at the sport relative to other NBA talents.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about Luca for a second.
Hmm.
I saw a clip the other day, or not like clip. It was like a mix up of like some of his 2021 finishing highlights,
Yeah.
and it's just night and day the burst that he had then versus now. Like he
Hmm.
actually like if you compare his clips now to then, he looks like De'Aaron Fox in 2021.
100%.
He was
100%.
blowing by people, dunking on people, going coast to coast, like. And now he can't even get by Rudy Gobert one time out of like 50 opportunities on the perimeter.
Let alone that he can barely dunk. Like how
No,
like like
it's
how often do you see, I feel like you see
did
him
Nico
dunk
Harrison
like
Cook.
3 times in a year. Like he never dunks at all anymore.
Yeah,
Even like his rookie year, he was like
unfortunately.
yeah. It's just I hope that he can figure it out because he's
It
I
makes
mean
me hate American fast food. What
so
has
true.
happened
Yeah,
to
he
his
he
career?
clearly like has been at McDonald's and stuff too much. He's like
The
taking his
Biggie bag is
but
too good
hey,
of a deal. It's not his fault.
it's so true. Like Zion figured it out. Like he really lost so much weight and like got in great shape this when he had that break in the middle of the year. And so like Luca can totally do it too. And I totally hope he does because if he doesn't, this Lakers outlook, this team sucks if he is never in good shape again. Um,
It makes me
but yeah,
wonder how much he wants to continue playing. Like obviously he doesn't want to stop playing, but how much
hmm
longer he'll play because he's been playing professionally since he was 15.
yeah.
So I don't know. It's like it makes me wonder how much more time he has left actually
I mean,
caring about playing.
tell me if I'm wrong. Didn't he say he wanted to retire in his like early 30s?
He did say that a couple years ago.
Yeah, he said
So
he would. He definitely said he would. He said he would never play as long as LeBron is playing. I think,
yeah, but to
Well,
be
I mean,
and
fair,
that's when
nobody
LeBron was like
he
has.
does
when
punch Kareem.
that's when LeBron was like 37. I think is when he said
Hmm.
Oh,
that.
Um, I guess the only other things I could really point out, like Luca on defense was just getting hunted. He was terrible on defense this series. He didn't really show much effort at all. He was consistently whining. He would get stripped and like not even try to get back on defense because he would be like throwing his arms up and stuff. And that's always been a case for him. But it's just like his general lack of care, it felt like at times, was kind of jarring. Like we're in the playoffs, and it felt like he was treating it like game 60 of the regular season at times. He had big scoring games, but like if you're scoring 30 and giving up 35, like what did you score 30 for? I and then the other only part from the Lakers is Austin Reeves was just terrible in this series, just bad, like to put it simply. And he wasn't good on offense for the most part. He was getting absolutely hunted to no end on defense. Like Jaden McDaniels was just driving past him over and over and over again. He was just I think he scored like eight. I forget how many field goals he made in his 30-point game, but he scored almost all of them in the paint because of just how easy it was to get past Austin Reeves and then into the non-Jackson. Like there was no center in the paint, so he just could score over and over again.
Yeah.
He was awesome in the series. He was awesome defensively as well. Yeah, the Timberwolves are just a better team, top to bottom. And
Did
I would
Nico Harrison no ball? Make
no,
you
he
think.
didn't. Still a terrible trade.
No, he did no ball. He did
Did
not no
did
ball.
he know? Did
Yeah.
he know? Uh,
Um, I guess, and the only other thing is like, shoot, what was I about to say? Oh, I was thinking that JJ Redick would outcoach Chris Finch here. He didn't
Yeah.
really, but I also don't think it's fully to his fault. Like this was just the roster difference was just on nobody was going to be able to make that like work at all. I don't think
um,
so.
There's
he had the
only
one game. Was it game three where he played the same lineup for the
Yeah,
entire second half? It
or
was that lineup
game
that
three
we
or
had
four.
talked
Yeah.
about before the series. Where
Hmm.
it was the DFS and Rui lineup
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was like one of the best net rating lineups in the league during the regular season. He played them for the whole second half, and it still didn't matter. So
Hmm.
his roster wasn't really that good. I still think he got out coached, but
I
there's not
agree.
really a whole lot he could have done.
there's only so much you can do when you have no center and you're going against one of the best big teams in the league.
Hmm.
There's like only
Yeah.
really
And
only so much
and
you can
not only
do.
that, but they uh so he plays the starting five the whole time, and oh shoot, I just fully forgot my point. Um, yeah, I don't remember now. Jeez, I'll try to remember it. But yeah, this series just in the end, like Timberwolves are just a better team. They're not making any. Oh, sorry, I remember now. The report came out after the series that they lose that the Lakers won't fire JJ Redick. Who did any of you two think that they were
Yeah,
going to fire him?
Lakers.
Like,
No, no one on the planet
I
thinks
hate the
that.
yeah,
Lakers.
like being the Lakers head
Legion
coach
Hoops just wanted
is
another click.
no doubt about it. Being Lakers head coach genuinely might be one of the hardest jobs in the history of the world. Like if you
It's a
don't win the
nightmare,
finals,
bro.
yeah, if you don't win the finals in within the first day of you being hired, like you're in the hot seat already. And like
It's
JJ Redick is
horrible.
a good coach at the very least. I think he's got potential to be a really good coach, like a great coach potentially. He
Hmm.
just needs a roster that is even one NBA level center. It
Good.
doesn't even have to be good. Like Clint Capella could be their center, and this series could look so differently. You were saying something. You wanted to say something.
We
Yeah.
we we talked about Malik Beasley, how he was horrible on the Lakers in the
Yeah.
last podcast, and how like Lakers players always seem to be worse after they leave LA,
Hmm.
or when they're in LA than when before or after they're in LA.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I think it's just because like it's impossible. Like there's so much pressure to play there that
Hmm.
it's unless you're one of the top end players, it's impossible to perform under those expectations because you can't
Hmm.
make mistakes or your head's on a stake. It's
Yeah.
and so yeah, I saw that report and I just laughed. I was like, you got to be kidding me! Like
I
this
mean,
guy gets you
Totally.
50 wins and
think
he's
about
on
it.
the hot seat.
Hmm.
It went from Austin Reeves is the third best third option in the league to they want him cut and he sucks and we should trade him for Giannis because
It's
Yeah.
and
terrible.
they Lakers fans they have two sides and they don't correlate but they somehow have it, which is Austin Reeves is now a playoff dropper and a bum and he sucks. We could trade him in a second for Giannis. Like I don't
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
I do kind of want them to trade Austin Reeves this offseason just because I feel like you don't really need him along Luca. I feel like you need the lob threats and
It's a
three
little
and D.
redundant.
Yeah, you need 3 and D guys more. Like Austin Reeves literally offers you zero on defense, and his offense isn't so amazing that like with Kyrie, like Kyrie's a better offensive player and a better defender. So that again, he's just a better leader. He's a better off ball player. He's can work the lineups when Luca's off the court. So that's why it worked so well. Austin Reeves is just a little, like you said, it's a little redundant. I don't know what his value is, like what you could get back for him, but I'm sure though it's the Lakers.
He
They're gonna,
definitely gets something.
yeah. He's
Yeah.
not a bad player at all, no doubt about it. Like
Mhm.
he could be a third best player on a championship team or like a fourth best.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But he's just, he's not like the second best player in a year from now on the Lakers. There's no way you can have that and try to be a competing team. So yeah, like I don't know
So
what his return would be, but I would like to see them move on from him.
so 3-and-D player. So yeah, trade him for Dylan Brooks. I agree.
Like,
One last thing I'll say
mhm.
is, as a huge Anthony Davis fan, I loved watching the Lakers lose
I was about
the
to ask
same
that.
amount of games that they lost last year.
If they don't do the Luca trade, is this any different? Do you think? Is this maybe
No,
okay?
same
Still,
same result.
yeah. I figured, but just figured I'd ask as well.
Because their
Um,
team still
mhm.
sucks defensively, even with how good AD was on the
Yeah.
defensive end.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just don't think it really would have changed anything.
All right. So a few things that I have here. So Minnesota in Game 5 shot 7 for 47 from three, 14.9%, and they still won. That was the worst shooting performance in a win ever in the playoffs, and like it just shows how little of a chance the Lakers had. They like 7 for 47 is so unbelievably bad, and they still win just because the Lakers are also not good. So that was pretty
We
crazy.
fell we fell for the Braun propaganda. I will admit I fell for the
Yeah.
LeBron propaganda.
I mean like
That's on me. That's on me.
I had it in my notes originally. Like I do have tweets with my original bracket of Timberwolves going to the conference finals, so I'm gonna live by that, and not that the Lakers were going there. Um, but yeah, they just were a better team. Who do you think that the Timberwolves would rather see in tonight's game?
Rockets.
Probably the Rockets, yeah.
I,
I
I
think the Rockets would have a really hard time scoring on a team with Gobert in the paint.
mhm.
Yeah, I do too. Steven Adams has been great, but
Yeah, they also have the
I don't
I
think
think
his
his
size.
effectiveness
They have
definitely
the
goes
defensively.
down against Minnesota.
Yeah, they have the size to match the double big lineup pretty well. I'm sure that they would
Yep.
still offensive rebound at a crazy high level, but not at
Hmm.
like I think they're like
48.
37% or something in this in the playoffs so far. Like it just wouldn't be that high. Gobert and Randall and Naz Reid and like whoever else they bring off, like their lengthy wings they have. Ant's a good rebounder too. Like they just have a better overall team. I think I would say Rockets they'd probably rather see. I'm not honestly worried about the Warriors for them either. I think Anthony Edwards would have an unbelievable series, and the size is just going to be so massive.
T- Not to spoil, but T Wolves win both, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Timberwolves would be able to space out the Rockets a lot more than the Warriors have been able to
Hmm.
as well. I know they shot poorly in a couple games against the Lakers, but in general, they're usually a pretty one of the
Yeah.
better 3 point
I
shooting
don't think
teams in
they
the
go
league.
7 for 47 again. I'll bank on them
Oh
not.
no,
Yeah.
Anthony Edwards and Jalen Green, I'm puking all over the place.
Hmm. And then the last thing is so JJ Redick said that some of the players weren't in championship shape, as he called it. Who do you think he was referring to?
Biggie
Mr.
Bag Boy.
Doncic, Mr.
Biggie bag
Doncic.
boy. Yeah, I would say like I think there's probably a few people you could point to, but Luka's definitely one of
Hayes.
them. Yeah, I mean Jackson Hayes is one of them. I don't even think he's one of the top guys though, because they at some point they just benched him.
Hayes
So
isn't in NBA shape,
yeah,
as in
he's just not an
just
NBA player for
skill
being
wise.
honest. Like he's never been
Hayes
good
is
anywhere he
being
was.
Hayes is in being an alleged bad person shape, actually, and that's all he's good for.
Yeah, I wouldn't sign
He
him
has
personally.
allegations and he sucks. Like there's just no
Yeah,
reason
there's
He's
no
for him to
reason.
at
legitimately
this
Yeah,
point.
he's unwatchable in real life and basketball. Like
yeah.
he's
Yeah, he's
horrid.
just
I wouldn't be
he's
surprised if
terrible.
some team signs him just because like he wasn't like in the regular season he was pretty solid for them. Um, like post trade deadline he was starting to learn how to play basketball a little more. He was a solid lob threat and stuff, but like no team should sign him
Luca's
realistically.
back.
And if they do, it should just be for like gotcha. It should just be like for some bench unit type of situation.
I hope Luca spends. I wish Luca wouldn't play Eurobasket. I wish he would focus more on conditioning this offseason, which I know will probably come with playing that anyways. But I feel
Hmm.
like it's just kind of risking overuse injuries if you're continuing to play basketball into the offseason again,
Yeah,
which I think we saw with Embiid
yeah. I was about to
last
say it's
year.
Embiid. Yeah.
Yeah. And for a
I
real
wish I
throwback,
kind of wish that he would take the off season off and just focus
Get
on
in
getting in
shape.
better
Yeah.
shape because he just couldn't play a full game during the playoffs and it showed in every single fourth quarter.
Hmm.
and for a real throwback, Yao also did that because he also always played in the Chinese league
Yeah. Yeah.
after the Rocket season was over, and he
Well,
was always
Yeah.
hurt.
the thing with Luca also that I want to point out is like I mean, he was playing like 44 minutes a game, which a lot of
Yeah,
stars play heavy minutes, but not like that heavy. So I think in a regular lineup, he like in a regular series where he doesn't have like where he has like average NBA players around him, he won't play that much. So like it'll be a little bit better, but he totally that's not taking away
He's
from the point
also
that he needs to
dribbling
get
the
in shape.
air. He's also dribbling the air out of the ball every single possession, which I feel like he didn't even have to do. I feel like they
Hmm.
could have had LeBron and Reeves running actions more often than they were, but
Yeah, it felt yeah.
it is what it is.
They once they got Luca, they started to run a lot of like the Luca heliocentric ball, where it's just like he gets it and they just kind of he'll figure it out. Like he'll either pass to somebody open or he'll just take the shot, and that ends up being how like the Mavs played a lot of times with him too. But they had a better team around him to fit that play style. But it's just like with this team, they couldn't have played that way, and the way Luca is in shape right now, they can't play that way, and that's just the way they did.
yeah,
We don't really
one
need
team
to.
built their team around Luca, and the other
Yeah.
didn't. So
All right, let's get to the last series here. This was this might have been my favorite series. Nuggets winning in 7 versus the Clippers. Just so many different things to
this
point to in the
was
series. This was like yeah, just a round of applause for how great this series was. This was awesome.
this
Um,
this was the series I was most wrong about. My opinions were terrible here. I had Clippers in 5. That was my prediction. Nuggets in 7. And yeah, I think I underrated the Nuggets a little too much. And by that I mean um Michael Porter Jr. wasn't abysmal, and I was predicting him to be abysmal.
yeah, I
And
thought he was gonna be bad.
I didn't think
I didn't
Harden
like
was
how
gonna
he
be
got
good.
subbed out.
Yeah, I didn't think Harden would be good. In fact, I will be complaining about Harden in a little bit. But yeah, MPJ played way better than I thought he would. I'm not saying he played like
Yeah,
LeBron would,
I thought he was
but
gonna. Yeah, I thought there was gonna be times where he was gonna be like taken off the court guy because like his lackluster defense. If he wasn't hitting threes consistently, like I thought he just wasn't gonna serve much purpose. And he like
especially with the switches, I
he
thought Kawhi
was
would
he was
shut him
such a good
down.
rebounder in this series, and he was still hitting his
Oh
shots as
yeah,
well.
Yeah.
Like he came up in those first few games, he came up so huge. I think he had like 12 rebounds in game 1 or 2. Like he came up huge in those. He played a big part for them for sure.
yeah. And not to be sports curse, but the Clippers are the Clippers. It sucks.
Yeah,
That's what they
I would
do.
know.
this
I
uh
I,
this
I
this
know about
series.
curses,
Hmm.
but
Oh yikes! Yeah,
it,
they
yeah,
the Clippers in 2020 they lost in 7 to the Nuggets, and that was the last healthy Kawhi series. And for
yep.
5 years now, we've been saying like, just wait for them to get healthy, wait for them to get healthy. Like Kawhi in the playoffs, he's gonna take over, whatever, whatever. He finally has a healthy series, and then they lose in 7 to the Nuggets again, and it's just like this. I don't.
To be
This
fair,
might be the
it's the
ceiling of this
worst.
team. Like, and
I,
they can't
Yeah.
even pivot from here. Like there is no.
yeah, they can't.
There's the only pivot is trading Harden or Kawhi, and realistically, how many teams are trading for Harden or Kawhi? Like it's a weird situation they're in. I'm assuming they're gonna run it back and like just win
Yeah,
48 games and get the 7 seed and like or the 6 seed and then just lose in the first round to somebody next year. Yeah, it's a weird it's a situation though. But
Kawhi,
good
yeah, go
thing they
on.
have Shea. Oh, what a
Ooh,
shame.
yikes.
Kawhi and Jokic both, which this is going to sound insane, especially for Jokic because
Hmm.
the numbers he put up, but Jokic really didn't impress me that much this series.
I kind of
Yeah,
agree.
And I definitely think this is like the worst series he's played
No
this
doubt.
decade, probably.
This might
he
be
was
his worst playoff series of
legitimately
his
awful
career.
on defense. He was awful on defense
And
this
at times
series.
he had straight up bad games on offense too. Zubac was clamping him, which
He was
he's
bad game
Yeah, he did.
seven.
He wasn't good in Game 7. He wasn't very good in Game 5. He
mhm.
wasn't really. He had a couple games just because he's
Yeah, I think he
Jokic,
had
but
3 triple doubles and like basically he almost had 4 or 5. Like I think he was a rebounder and assist away from like 2 more. Like that's
Yeah,
what you
Jokic is
expect at
yeah.
one. He
times.
only had three triple doubles.
Yeah, but he had like 13 points in game
Kawhi
7. Like
averaged
that's yeah. Go on.
Kawhi averaged like a super efficient 25 a game, and
Hmm.
but even then, Kawhi didn't really impress me too much this series either. Outside of Game 2, like he had this generational Game 2 performance where we're like,
Man,
oh my god,
I
like
was so
Kawhi's healthy, here
excited.
they come.
I was like
and
running around my
then
kitchen
he
like
just really
screaming.
It looked like
and
Raptors were back.
Hmm.
NBA Twitter's so reactionary that they're like, "See, this is what we're saying. He's as
Yeah,
good as Michael Jordan when he's healthy," and
yeah.
then
True,
he didn't do
true.
anything again for the rest of the
Top five
series.
health, top five ever if he was healthy. Like, all right, we can calm down
It's
now.
True. Well, that's true.
people
But
can
that's
never just like
going
have a
to
normal
fraud.
reaction to things.
Yeah, I mean, I do like. I think I put out some tweets saying like he probably would have been like top 15 or 20 if he was healthy, which I think is
Oh,
definitely the
that
case.
would be much more
That's
reasonable.
not
Yeah,
absurd to
like
say.
I don't think he ever would have been top 10 because top 10 you need like four championships, and he realistically would never reach that. Just like
And
it's so
MVPs.
tough.
You need
Yeah, yeah.
MVPs as well.
Yeah.
He might have won one MVP or something, but like even that's rather unlikely. Um, this series though, like it's kind of the this was like this is a clear sign Kawhi's never going to be back to that where he was, which should have been expected, but people I think were more so hoping than really using their like logical brain of, you know, he's had so many surgeries, so many injuries, missed so much time. He's never going to reach that 2019 level again. He was good in this series. Like he wasn't bad. He was like you said, super efficient. He was hitting consistently, like mid ranges over and over again. He was hitting his threes super well. And he was playing really good defense. I will say he defended Jokic well. He defended Aaron Gordon solidly. He was switching onto players and like defending them really great. But it's just like he can't carry a team. He's not the elite playoff riser that he once was. And with a player like Harden, who would he have three straight up terrible games in in this series? Like Kawhi, if Harden plays great in those games, they probably win the series, or even just well. But like, I
Hmm.
mean, Game Seven
I
he
want
was
to say.
god awful. I think Game Five he was god awful too. Like, it was just it's unfortunate that Harden just can't consistently be a good playoff player.
I want to say before I bitch about Harden. You
Yeah,
did mention one more. I do want to say Aaron Gordon really impressed me this series.
he was awesome.
Um,
Yes.
I think his worst game was 14 points, and he still had 6 rebounds, 5 assists.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, don't get me wrong, he played a ton of minutes. I think the least amount of minutes he played was 32, and that was a bit of an outlier on the lower end.
If anything,
But
that's credit to
overall,
him.
yeah, Aaron Gordon definitely felt very impactful this series. At many times, he felt like he arguably the second best player for the Nuggets.
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Aaron
but
Gordon
yeah,
is what I like to call the Derek White of power forwards. He's just
yeah,
kind of
that's very
he's kind
accurate
of
actually.
Yeah, it's a good take.
I've always loved Aaron Gordon. He's
Ever since
such a perfect fit
2016.
on Denver,
Yeah.
and I love and the fact that he's just able to shoot the lights out now is he added another
Hmm.
facet to his game that makes him even better. So he's always been one of my
Yeah,
favorite
because
role
his
players.
And
lack of ability to shoot the three has always been like a big negative for him. But now that he's able to shoot it, like
Now it's like
you
one of
have
his
to
biggest
step out on
strengths.
him. You could have left him
Yep,
open before. Now you can't. Like it really has changed the
what did
Nuggets'
he shoot this
offensive
series?
ability. I feel like he shot
yep,
40% this
45%.
series. He definitely shot at least
I
yeah
think it was
42.
oh this series.
Yeah. Oh, this
Yeah,
season I
during the
don't
season
know.
he shot 45,
Yeah, that's crazy.
which is ridiculous.
now
Yeah, because he used to be like a thirty
let's
percent
get to
shooter.
the
Yeah, you can get your Harden
Yeah,
debate,
40,
your Harden
44.
rant.
Yeah, he's
44,
44%.
jeez,
But
okay.
yeah,
let's get the elephant of the room.
Hmm.
James Harden. Now, I I like to rank players all time. I care more about teams and history more than like the stats. And
Hmm.
by the stats, I mean like on an individual, like
Yeah,
game
yeah,
by
yeah.
game basis, deep diving into like third string, whatever. A big thing in my rankings is playoff dropping. Um, and James Harden, in my opinion, is either the biggest playoff dropper in NBA history or the second biggest playoff dropper in NBA history. The
Hmm.
only one I'm arguing potentially is Wilt, and that was the '60s. Um, and Wilt still won 2 rings. So
Yeah,
the thing
can't say
with
the same for
Harden,
Harden.
yeah, the thing with Harden, he's not a winning player. I thought he could maybe be on the Clippers because of how he changed, but I want to go back to the Rockets Harden real quick, and then we'll go
Hmm.
back to the Clippers because we don't need a history lesson.
Yeah.
The thing with Harden is that the whole team had to revolve around him, even though he had the points. Like obviously, he was averaging 30. He'd had lines where it was like 39 and a half,
Hmm.
and you'd bet the over and you'd win money.
I think
But
his highest line was like
if
44.
he was, if he, yeah, if he wasn't hitting, the team was built for him to hit shots, and he did. Then he didn't. Now. the team is still sort of built for him to like hit more shots. Like there's
Hmm.
obviously more like spreading the ball in the Clippers than there were in the Rockets,
Yep.
but um, all hard teams besides arguably besides the Thunder because he's more of a bench guy, but they built teams so he can take shots. In the playoffs, James Harden doesn't shoot. I think he's legitimate. It's almost like he's scared to shoot. And over time, it's getting worse and worse and worse.
Hmm.
Probably for two reasons. One is just he's older. Duh. He's not as
Yeah.
good as he was in Houston or Brooklyn or even the Thunder.
Hmm.
But the second reason is everyone knows that Harden stinks in the playoffs. We know who Harden is. He's a good regular season player. He's going to do that thing where he tricks you in the regular season, and then you get to the first round, you get to the second round. Hell, you might even make the conference finals, and he stinks it up when it matters because he doesn't shoot. He's scared to shoot, which is terrible when your whole game and often your whole team is built around you shooting the ball. This is why I think Dwayne Wade's better than him all time because I don't care about, like yes, Harden on paper has the better stats. He but Wade knew he played like Wade in the finals. He played like Wade in the conference finals. He played
Hmm.
like Wade in the semifinals, wherever. Harden plays like not that. He plays like a bench guy. He
Yep.
plays like a 3-and-D shooter almost, except he didn't play defense. He all of this his whole career has built up to Harden tries to build a team that's built around him. He gets that team with the only arguable exception being Brooklyn because there's just so much talent on that team. Uh, these teams are built around him. He goes to a team that's even like arguably better, like the Sixers. They had Embiid, so he didn't have to be the best player, but
Hmm.
he was still the best shooter. But he didn't shoot, or he'd get hurt, or he'd put on the fat suit, and it would be all an issue. Yeah, it would just continue to be such an issue for him,
Yeah.
and that's why he can't be a top 25 player of all time. Or if I had to guess right now, I'd put him at like 32, somewhere
Hmm.
like that, just because he's such a playoff. Harden is
Just a
who
playoff
Harden
dropper.
is,
Yeah.
and yeah, he's a playoff dropper, and not only is a playoff dropper, it's not like in a sense where like he plays a little worse, but you can go around it. He's legitimately awful in the
Hmm.
playoffs. He can't shoot. He's scared to shoot. Um, People are gonna lie on Twitter and everywhere else because he had 13 assists. He only had two turnovers, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong,
Yeah, but people are saying like that. That's kind of
but
whatever. Like that. They're
it's a
like
fake
13 is.
stat.
Yeah. Whatever. I do want
They're
to. Hmm.
everything he did was fake. But you know what? I've ranted about Harden for like 7 minutes at this point. We can move on if you'd like.
Yeah, I want to get back to the series more. We could keep talking about Harden for sure because I have like a whole paragraph written about him here. This series, he was just
Okay.
just extremely disappointing. He scored
He
20
had
or
game
fewer
two.
points.
That was it, right?
Yeah, yeah, and
Okay.
he
She had
had.
game six too.
You're correct. Yes.
Yeah.
He scored 20 or fewer points in 5 games this series, and 15 or fewer 3 times. Game 7, he had 7 points, 5 rebounds, 13 assists. Like that's just abysmal. Game 4, he had 11, 8, and 5, and only took 9 shots that game. Like game 4 plays all 12 minutes of the third quarter. He took 2 shots and made 0 points and was a negative 18. They were leading like I don't remember what they were leading, but going into halftime there. But the third quarter they completely just lost the game, and he was a huge
Mhm.
part of that. He, like you said, he just regularly like we talk about it with Halliburton a bit, but like Halliburton's fixed it. With Harden, it just comes to the playoffs, and he just consistently just like refuses to shoot at times. And I think it was game 7. I don't think he had a shot in the first quarter until like 2 minutes left. Like it's just like
Yeah.
you can't do that.
I heard a
Yeah.
stat that
I have a couple
not,
stats here.
yeah, I heard one stat. There's might be some variation here
Hmm.
because it counted OKC, which kind of hurts the value a little bit because he didn't play as much.
Yep.
But in 44% of his playoff games, he took less shots than he averages in the regular season. If you're this A1 star player, that is unacceptable. Especially
Yeah.
like
Yeah. It's
even
a good
like
step.
20%, that's like bad looks, but
Mm.
44%
Yeah, that's pretty
that's
crazy.
you can't do that. You just can't do that.
Mm.
But anyways, you
I
have
have a
some
couple
stats?
stats here.
All right, let's
He
hear it.
has 35 playoff games with 35 playoff games with 3 or fewer field goals
Oh my god.
made.
I
55 playoff
I
games with
saw
4
these.
or
Yeah.
fewer field goals, and he has 27 games where his turnovers are at the same amount or exceed the amount of field goals he made in the game.
Disgusting.
Yeah. I wanted to before the playoffs
It's just
started.
nasty.
I had a talk with one of my friends who's a Clippers fan, and I was saying
Okay.
I think the Harden's better than Dwayne Wade all time. Like I was starting to really cement that in my head a bit more. Because I was thinking that we were about to see a great playoff run from this Clippers team. I thought that the Nuggets just firing their coach, they were going to get by them, and that this Clippers team was just deeper and just kind of overall better, better coached, whatever it was, and they just, I mean, they just got outclassed at times. Jamal Murray wasn't even that good this series, and they still lost. Like I was thinking for the Nuggets to win the series, I had it going seven regardless, but I figured Jamal Murray was going to be awesome this series. He really only had one good game. The rest of them, like he was scoring like under 20 in like most of his games. It was Aaron Gordon playing awesome, Christian Brown being so unbelievably good. He was hitting big shot
He
after
was
big shot.
nuclear.
He was playing amazing defense on Harden. He was um, he was just he really impressed me in the series. He was a great transition player. I was thinking
Yeah.
that his impact was going to take a step back in the postseason with a slower down pace, but it really didn't at all. If anything, he stepped up big time, and he was a huge energy guy for them too. He really played a big role. MPJ was good too. Like when DeAndre Jordan would come in, they wouldn't even lose those minutes that big. Like they had times where he was fully winning his minutes. Like
Yeah.
you just they were not they weren't you can't win a series when you're losing to the DeAndre Jordan minutes and Russ was big too here. Like I want to
Oh,
shout out to
right,
Russ
right.
because
Of course.
he obviously like energy and everything,
Russell Westbrook.
like big rebounds and stuff. And he said in his after game seven that with him you never know what you're gonna get. Like he said it himself that like, I'll miss
Yep.
threes, I'll make threes, I'll get turnovers, I'll make big passes, like I'll do mistakes here and then I'll also turn around on the next play and have a big shot and make a big play. And that's really who he is. And more times than not in this series, he had good plays than bad. He did have a few bad games and he missed one game as well, but he just consistently he's a good shooter when you leave him open. He's not a great contested shooter or just on average 3-point shooter, but when you leave him open, he's like a near 40% shooter. And that's been the case series after series for the last like multiple years now and in the regular season as well. And it's always been the case with him. And it feels like every team just forgets that when they play him, where it's like, we'll leave him open because he's the worst shooter, but he is a good shooter when he's open. And he proved it again in this series. He was a big part. And he closed out a game. Oh, I forget, was that game four? I forget which game it was, where he got the bucket and then clamped up James Harden on the other end and forced the turnover. Like he won them the game at the end of the game. He
I
was
think it was
awesome.
game 4, yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick, I want to touch on this. I'm only going to spend a few cents on it because it's not relevant to the rest of the playoff series.
Mhm.
Why do the Nuggets keep signing DeAndre Jordan as a backup center? Jack, I think we talked about this like a few days
Yeah, like
ago.
and
Why
yeah,
is he
So
fake inflating Jokic's
legitimately
plus minus or something. Yeah, I don't
like
know.
he's the only reason that someone can believe that they build the team to boost Jokic stats because
I think the
he's
Nuggets are just
legitimately
ran.
terrible.
Honestly, I just think they ran poorly. That's really what it
Now
comes
that
down
what
to. Because
now
they
that their
also
GM got
they
fired, I
regularly
think they'll
just
be
let their good players walk too, like KCP, Bruce Brown, probably someone
Bruce
else I'm
Brown was
forgetting
never
too.
staying though, to be fair. He was never
Yeah,
staying.
that was unrealistic, but like they don't like to pay their guys like maybe what
Yeah,
they're worth,
KCP
and
should have
so
stayed though.
he totally should have. He should have stayed for his own. Like even if he had to take a pay cut, like I mean, I guess make your
It was a
money,
lot
but
of like just
the last two things I want to point out from this series is Bojan Bogdanovic. They ran a small ball lineup with him a lot this series, and he really impressed me. He played really well. He was consistently good on offense. He was hitting big shots over and over again. And on defense, he was not that bad. He was not getting hunted in the way that I was expecting. He wasn't the best defender or anything like that, but he was able to hold his own a lot more than I was expecting, so that was good. And then Nicholas Batum, he's when I said
Yes,
Julius
sir.
Randle was my player that impressed me the most this playoffs, Batum was probably my second.
Nick is
He
mine. Nick
like
Batum is mine.
he was awesome this series. Defensively, he was defending Jokic at times and stopping him. He was defending Aaron Gordon and stopping him. Like he was able to switch on different guys and not get burnt and not get crossed over, like blown right by,
Yep.
whatever. Offensively, his no dip threes, I felt like you saw at least one every game.
Yep.
He was hitting the three consistently, which is so big. He had so many huge shots where they were either the Nuggets would start to make a comeback and he hit a three, or he'd hit a big three to lead the comeback for the Clippers. Like he really was a big part in this Clippers series for them. He played small ball five for them regularly. It was awesome to see that.
I uh I think I saw this somewhere. I could be wrong. I think he leads all guards in playoff blocks this year.
Batum,
I yeah,
they count him as a
Does he
guard.
count
like
as a
guard
guard?
block, like as
Really?
a guard blocking.
Like he blocks guards.
Oh,
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Which I
You
like
said in the
Nick
postseason?
Batum. Yes.
I feel like he
I
did
like Nick
block.
Batum.
I guess so. I mean, leading it is interesting, but I guess because it's also they
Mhm.
were the only 7 game series, so that helps
Right.
too.
That's also
Yeah.
it. So there's definitely inflation in that stat, but it
Hmm.
just proves that 97,000-year-old Nick Batum is still
Yeah.
getting important shots. Like he is the perfect example. People were trying to push Draymond propaganda earlier in the season,
Hmm.
but with this line, but like this is a perfect time of saying the stat sheet does not show how important Nick Batum was in this series.
Oh
Hmm.
Because
yeah.
like you look,
Hmm.
you talk about it, but then you look and he went like 6, 3, and 7,
Hmm.
but like that is not the reality of it. He was so important. My pick for most shocking player of the postseason, at least so far.
Yeah. That's valid.
Batum, Batum playing well hasn't really shocked me at all. Just because I think he's been one of the better role players in the league for the last few years.
Hmm.
And I pay a little closer attention to him just because he was one of my favorite players on the Blazers when he was here.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Uh, but this is definitely one of his better series in the last few years as a role player. He came in and just I was really shocked they didn't start him in Game 7. They opted to start
Yeah.
Jones Jr. instead. I really thought
Yeah.
they would come out with Batum to start the game because he was one of the main reasons they won Game 6.
Hmm.
So I don't know. That just surprised me.
And I guess
No
one
wonder
last
the
person
Hornets
I
paid
want
him
to shout
eighty
out as
million
well
dollars.
is Chris Dunn. He played like the reason Jamal Murray didn't have that good of a series was just Chris Dunn just clamped him up consistently game after game, and he was also hitting threes well. Like it was going to be, the big thing with the Clippers was Derrick Jones Jr. and Chris Dunn both are relatively bad shooters or like not great shooters, below average, whatever you want to say. And so it's going to be huge for them to be able to play on the court and not just be one-sided players. They would have to hit their threes when they got the chance. And Chris Dunn, he had I feel like at least 2 games where he was like 3 for 3 from three, and like he was scoring 12 points, 15
Mm,
points, whatever it is. That's if you're getting a 15-point game from Chris Dunn, like you better be winning that game. And I felt like they blew at least one game where he played
yep.
well, and so he clamped up Jamal Murray enough to the point where the Clippers should have won the series. It really is. It's pretty crazy that they didn't end up winning this one because they were the better team. They were leading for most of the series. It felt like, and the
Yep.
Nuggets were just same thing with the Nuggets series, the Lakers series a couple years ago, where they swept them the first round. The Lakers were leading for like 90% of that series, but the Nuggets just kept coming back at the end. I felt like the case for a lot of
Mm.
this series. I guess just good coaching from the Nuggets, and Jokic obviously is just the best player on the court, and it showed at times.
Sometimes, even though he didn't have a great series, Jokic will always be Jokic, and even if he's not playing great, you got to focus everything
Yeah,
around him because he's the best player in the world, or
yeah,
at worst, the second.
I agree. All right, we could take a break here and then get into the second round in a minute.
All right, cool.
All right, so we can get right into the second round here. We'll go back over to the East to start off again. We had the Cavs, or sorry, we have the Cavs and the Pacers. They tip off tonight. It's the first second round series. Starts at 6 p.m. tonight. Who do you guys have winning this series? How many games?
Cavs in 6.
Okay.
I think I've probably got the Cavs in 7 still.
Cavs in 7. Gotcha. I'm Cavs in 6 right now. I'm honestly, I don't remember what I had. I think I had Cavs in 6 or 7 originally, but I'm leaning from 5 more than 7.
Yeah, I'm also closer to Cavs in 5 than Cavs in
Yeah, just
7.
the way that and you can go on. You can talk about your team in a second here, but just the way that
Yeah.
they just dominated the Heat so well. It really, I feel like Donovan Mitchell, the way that he was able to not have to carry this team this season, and like the load was just not as much on him, whether it was because of Evan Mobley stepping up or everyone it was just an overall better team this year. It's really showing. Like the Heat series, he was just so clearly the best player. Like he was just faster, stronger, better than everybody, and he looks so fresh. I feel like it's going to play such a huge part in this Pacers series. They're just overall like they're a very similar team, but I feel like the Cavs are just better at basically everything.
Hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say that too. They both run the very like unselfish ball, I
Hmm.
guess.
Yeah, they swing the
Everyone,
rock very
every,
well.
everyone gets their fair shot. Everyone gets their fair rebound. Everyone gets their fair assist. But the Cavs are just better. Their starting lineup's better.
Hmm.
Their bench is better. Their third strings are better. They're all just kind of better. I mean, if I'm like really thinking about it in my head, I'd say the Cavs have the three best players, maybe four best players in the series.
All right, we can calm
Like,
down
okay,
there.
no, like Dimic is better than
They have the
Halliburton.
they have the two best players in the series.
Dimic is better than Halliburton.
Hmm.
Mobley's better than Halliburton, and I think there's arguments that DG's better than Halliburton.
I
I
think
didn't
that
mean for I that like
I
yeah.
I think you're kind of biased in that take. I think there's zero argument Darius Garland is better than Halliburton. But I'm also really high on Halliburton, so maybe a bit biased there too.
I like Halliburton too though, so it's not me like pushing him down. I think I'm just pushing my guy up.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I just think we do things a little better. I think we pass the ball a little better.
Hmm.
I think we rebound better. We score easier. I mean, like D Mitch. Let's talk D Mitch. In the first round, like he wasn't bad. Don't get me wrong, he was not bad. But out of like the main starters, he was probably maybe not the best. Like he definitely wasn't. Like it's kind of hard to say in a series for the Cavs who's the best player overall, just because each player usually has their own best game.
Hmm.
So like the best player in the series in like a 7 game series could have the two best games where everyone else has like one. So it's kind of hard to say. But like Dimic was arguably not the best player in any 4 games, and it didn't matter. We still were at one point up 60 on them, and Dimic wasn't like playing like Donovan Mitchell. Um, and I think that's just the talent disparity
Hmm.
is going to be the reason why the Cavs, when I said Cavs in 6 and more talking about it, I might want to change it to Cavs in 5, but I'll stick to Cavs in 6 for now. Um,
What about you, Chase?
and I think,
Why do you have this? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, you're fine. I was just going to keep ranting about how amazing my team is.
But Chase, why do you have it in seven?
Yeah, I think the Cavs are obviously a better roster. They have
Hmm.
better bench. They have better starters. I just think the Pacers are such a difficult environment to win in. I don't think either team is gonna really be able to win that much on the road in this series.
I agree.
Uh, Donovan Mitchell this entire season really hasn't moved me as much as he has in years past.
Hmm.
I definitely think their roster as a unit has done a much better job this year than they have in previous years.
Yeah,
Uh,
I feel like to answer your point of like he took a step back this year. I do feel the same, but like I said before, I feel like it was just everyone else taking a step up. Whether Evan Mobley obviously took a huge offensive leap and was really like it could be an offensive like first engine type of guy. I think for a team, and so that him stepping up and Darius Garland was healthy this year and Jared Allen was really good and Strus played well and they had shooters off the bench, Ty Jerome, like so on and so forth. They had two six man of the year candidates. That's how good they were, and so like I feel that all of that was just because Donovan Mitchell, or not because, but like part of it was because Donovan Mitchell took a step back and didn't have to carry this team as much, wasn't as ball dominant this year, and so other guys were able to eat more. But when it comes down to it, I still trust Donovan Mitchell to be the best player on the court at any given moment.
oh yeah, Donovan
Yeah,
Mitchell will be the best player on the court in this series
yeah,
pretty
I expect
comfortably. But
him like whether it's Nemhard or it's Neesmith guarding him, I expect him like they're both really good defenders, but I still feel like Donovan Mitchell's gonna have a pretty good series.
Especially since D Mitch is statistically one of the best postseason performers like ever. If you
Hmm.
count like purely on a statistical
And
level,
yeah,
like
no,
I'm
no,
not
yeah,
talking
I know
about
what you're
like
saying. Yeah,
mhm,
and
Um,
he has been since his rookie year.
yeah,
right.
yeah. He's always been
We all
a
remember
huge,
Bubble D Mitch.
yeah, oof, no doubt about it.
Um,
For the
I
Pacers
just
side
think
of
the
this,
Pacers
hmm
are.
you can go on.
I just think the Pacers are able to pace and space really well. Um,
Yeah.
they go really fast. They got everybody on the court can shoot at
I
all
feel
times. I'm
I
trying
feel
to
like
think. Do they have
you could say
they have
this.
any spaces? which
Um,
is still true for the Cavs, but it just not. I just don't think they can space to the same degree when they have the two bigs on the floor.
yeah, the thing with the
Agreed.
Cavs though is they mismatch the minutes for the Jared Allen and Evan Mobley a lot. So they start the game together and they close the game together, but outside of that, they don't really play together much. And so they like when Evan Mobley's out there, they're spacing well, and when it's Jared Allen, they have the bench shooters in there to space the floor well, and you don't always need five good 3-point shooters. Like you can survive without it.
Oh
Um,
no,
for the Pacers side of this, like I don't want to. I was hyping up the Pacers in this series for months now, but it just like that Heat series really moved me a lot. I feel and like the Pacers stomped out the Bucks, no doubt about it. But like I just this Cavs team is just better overall than the Pacers. I feel like they're very similar. They're both a very fast paced, like quick transition team. But with the Pacers, it's very much so transition is why they're fast. Whereas with the Cavs, they're just like in the half court. I don't know if there's a team in recent memory, maybe like the prime Warriors that were just this fast in the half court. They just swing the rock so quickly. The second they see a good shot, they're not like scared to or hesitant to take it at all. Um, I just trust the Cavs overall more in this series. But um, to get into the Pacers a bit more, Halliburton didn't play against the Cavs this season. He played in one half against them. So like there's nothing there's it's really hard to gauge like how well if what does matchups like how has he done this season. I was assuming he's gonna get guarded by Max Strus because it's not like it'll be a bit of Garland but probably mainly Strus. And I'm assuming Halliburton will also be on Strus because they don't want him on D Mitch or Garland. Um, the only thing that I could see pushing the series to more than 6 games or 7 games is, or maybe even the favor of the Pacers is if this toe injury with Darius Garland is going to flare up a bit more. But
Hmm.
I think he would have to. I mean, he missed 2 games, so I think it was more so like it's the Heat, so go rest than it was he can't play.
Yeah.
Um, if he actually can't play, he misses 2 3 games this series, then I would be a little bit worried. Definitely a bit more than a bit. Like I feel like that's totally a way that the Pacers could end up winning the series. But outside of that, it'll have to be like otherworldly shot making. Halliburton has to be aggressive every game. Siakam can't really have bad games. Like Miles Turner has to be hitting his threes. And I
yeah,
think the bench unit, like TJ McConnell, his defense has taken a step back this year. He has to play really well. Obi Toppin, I could see this being a bad series for him. Ben Shepherd, I don't know, like he's got to be hitting his threes. I think it's going to come down to the bench unit a lot of the times for this series. And the Cavs just have a stronger bench. They have 2 6-man candidates. They have good shooters off the bench as well. I just overall trust the
Uh,
Cavs.
and one thing I will say, I was thinking about this, like, what are the scenarios where the Pacers outright like win the series, or at least like bring it to seven? And I think there's two main things that go for them.
Hmm.
One would be the Garland injury, the toe injury. I don't know how serious that is.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem as serious, but it could be, so I'm not going to
Hmm.
discount anything. But the second one, and if I had to guess for like an X factor, I don't mean like a bench unit. If I had to guess one X factor player that will get the Pacers a little over the top, would be Miles Turner. He's been he went from what felt like 9 straight years of getting traded at the deadline to like, oh my God, wait, this dude's actually super impactful.
Hmm.
And I
he
think
was
if
really
he
good
like
against the Knicks last year.
yeah, and I
It's
truly
one of the
believe
reasons they won.
if they like, I'm not saying like facilitate them because obviously you facilitate through Halliburton, but if you like give him more looks, try to push some more open looks, I could see a scenario where the Pacers are a lot scarier with Turner hitting some shots, and
Hmm.
that's why I would consider him like a scariest X factor. Not the best player. I don't even think he's like a top two player for the Pacers,
Yeah.
but I think he'd be like if he's hot, he's might be the scariest.
Hmm. And this Cavs defense is
He got
just
really
so
hot
good
against
too.
New York last year,
That's
and
true. I mean, we all
he hits
remember
some
that.
shots that I don't. He hits some like Nas Reed type shots where he'll just have the ball in his hands. He'll be taking step back threes and
Hmm.
all that stuff. So
Yeah.
he's always been one of my favorite players to watch. I think he's super exciting. So I definitely think he'll have a good series. That's why I think Pacers will push it as far as they do. But I could also see this just being the Cavs drumming them in 5 or 6 games as well. I just don't think that'll be
Absolutely.
the case.
I
The Cavs have a lot of range here, I think.
Yeah, I have a feeling. So like I feel very confident in the Thunder just taking care of the West. Even though the West is so good and everything, I just think the Thunder. are one of the best teams ever, and I think that's gonna prove itself round after round, and it's already happened in the first round. And like after the first round, I'm starting to feel like not even starting. I really feel the same with the Cavs now. I still would have them losing to the Celtics in seven, but like I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Cavs won that series, especially like a Drew Holiday injury or whatever it is. But I just I feel confident that the Cavs are gonna look like one of the best teams, like they are. I mean, because they are also one of the better teams of all time. They're like I think top 15 in net rating too, and like they have the same similar accolades that the Thunder do. And I think that this series could just be like the Pacers are a really good team, but the Cavs are just that much better, and it just shows like they're just better on every position for the most part.
Hmm.
The only other things I can like really have here is like the Pacers are a good defense. I think they were top 10 post deadline, but like how they're going to defend the Cavs pick and rolls is going to be interesting. The Cavs do so many pick and rolls, quick dribble handoffs, things like that. Like there's such a fast moving offense, and if they're playing drop, then they're going to leave open threes consistently. And the Cavs have proven like if you let them get into a rhythm from three, they will just blow you out of the water, and they've done that to so many good teams this season. And if you don't and you're hedging these picks over and over again, then you're going to get mismatches. You're going to get Halliburton on D Mitch, and you're going to get these situations that they're just going to fry you over and over again. And I just don't know if the Pacers have like I feel like the Cavs have answers to basically any question that you could bring up, whereas I don't think I could say the same about the Pacers.
Hmm.
Do you guys have any other things that you want to bring up for this series?
Halliburton scares me, but I because I'm
Hmm.
just a big fan of him. I like how he plays.
Yeah.
Um, but I think we talked about this a little like at the beginning. Halliburton's kind of prone to really bad shooting games too.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that could, especially with the Cavs defense, I think that could really come to bite the Pacers in the ass and like make it
Hmm.
even harder than it really is now.
Yeah.
But like besides that, like yeah, I think that's all I gotta say.
All right. Now we can move on to Boston versus Knicks. I feel like this might be the quickest uh, one that we'll talk about because
Yeah,
I
Boston,
think this might be an ugly series. Boston is just a
Boston in
Yeah,
five, Boston in five,
I have
and
Boston at
honestly, I'm
five.
I agree.
closer to Boston in four than Boston in six.
I kind of agree
Yeah,
with that. The only reason I wouldn't say Boston at four is because one, the Drew Holiday injury scares me, and two, Jalen Brunson is just so clutch that
Yeah,
like they'll
yeah,
have some game in the Garden where or sorry MSG where they or yeah that is the Garden, my dumbass. They were like it'll be like a 2 point 3 point game, and like Brunson will hit some clutch three and like they'll win the game or something. But like I don't think that they're gonna be winning games very much so outside of that. Like they're not gonna be blowing Boston out of the water. I don't think they're if they do win a game, it's not gonna be a 15-10 point win. It'll be like by 3 or 4. Whereas with Boston, I could see them winning by 10 in any of the games they win.
I think I think
Mhm.
Cat is gonna get bullied this
yeah.
series. I like
Yeah,
it's. I think he's going to be really, really bad this series,
yeah.
especially
He's
his
played
his
terribly against
rim
the Celtics.
protection, which we all
Yeah.
know is an issue with him. It's probably
Hmm.
his biggest issue. I think his rim protection is going to be like even more exposed on just how bad it's going to be
Yeah.
for Cat
The thing with
specifically.
Cat, like he had a few games against the Pistons where he didn't really show up that well. Like he had a few like okay games, and he had a few really solid, like really great games, but he wasn't consistently the second best or best player for the Knicks every game like he should be. And to beat the Celtics, he has to be the like second or best player on the Knicks every single night. He can't have a bad night because that's going to end up in a loss. Like he has to be hitting his threes. He has to be defending well. He has to be rebounding well. If he's not, I don't. It just like such a big. It's going to be such a big blow for the Knicks. It makes me trust them even less. You said like your big thing is Cat. My big thing, so Cat's going to be guarding Tatum, and then
Right.
what's going to end up happening, which every team does against the Knicks, is they put their center on Josh Hart because they don't see him as any sort of offensive threat at all, whether it's shooting or scoring in general. Josh Hart has to be aggressive on offense. Like he has to be hitting his threes when he gets the chances, and he has to be making his layups, driving to the paint. If he is like ending these games with like 6 points, 8 points, whatever. Kristaps is just going to be able to sit in the paint and defend the rim, and it's going to make the series so much muckier for the Knicks. It's going to make it so much harder. Josh Hart has to be a good offensive player in the series if they want any chance to win it.
Yeah, I think we saw from the start of the season. They played in the season opener, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Boston just is going to go at Karl Anthony Towns every single play.
Mhm.
He's just going to get completely exposed defensively in this series. I think.
Yeah, probably.
I don't think Drew Holiday will be that big of a or that badly missed in this series. I think
hmm
him
It'll
being
be
missed
next
will be
series.
more
It's
so an issue in the
Yeah,
Cavs
I
series.
agree. They can survive this series without him too.
Even in a
And the
Pacers
way,
series, Drew Holiday missing is a big deal, but Knicks it
yeah,
feels less.
Yep.
the Knicks just aren't very good. Like
hmm
I don't know. I'm
That's
just
how
True,
not
that's
very
how that's
moved
how,
by
that's how I
them.
feel. Yeah.
true.
Brunson is going to have to carry the load every single fourth quarter,
hmm
and the way Tatum played to end the Magic series, he's playing as good as he has all season right
Yeah.
now. I
Down
think
the
he was averaging like
game after game,
36, 10, and 5 in the last few games.
he was
So
awesome.
I think he'll continue to be good in this series, even though the Knicks
hmm
have a couple more perimeter defenders they can throw at him. But
Yeah. Another
I don't
thing.
think it'll be much of an issue
I
for
think
him.
So,
OG will be good though.
uh, I mean, OG is always pretty solid. Like, they'll need
Yeah,
him to have big games. They'll need like if Brunson to win this series, Brunson might need to have 3 40-point games or 4 40-point games. Like he's gonna
I
have
agree.
to.
Oh
He,
yeah,
he can't. If Brunson has a game of 25, they're gonna lose that game. Like I just know that
Mhm.
already. Um, I think the Magic showed a lot for how to beat the Celtics team. Obviously, they lost in five, but the clear stopping for the Celtics is just take away their threes. If you cover their threes and make them shoot twos and shoot their layups, that's how you can beat this team. Now, I don't trust Tom Thibodeau to make any sort of coaching adjustment to look at that series and be like, "Hey, let me implement that." I expect him to just do what he's done in the last couple seasons facing the Celtics, and that's how they end up losing in five.
Mhm.
But I think like the Cavs or the Thunder will look at that Magic series. Like I think you're gonna end up probably taking nothing if you're a coach from this Knicks series, but you could take more from that Magic series.
I agree.
Yeah, Cat's gonna
hopefully,
get
Especially
roasted
hopefully,
for sure.
hopefully Thibs is done being the next coach after this
What I'm
series.
thinking is so the Knicks get blown out here. Tibbs gets fired, and the only people who should be on this team is Brunson, Cat, and OG. Like I'm
well, you
trading
can't get rid
Yeah,
McCall
of
if I can, which I guess you can't trade McCall because you need like he had a kind of a bad season, and so you need his value to go up more to get any sort of real. You're not going to recoup the picks you gave up for him, but like even to some extent you could. But like Josh Hart needs to be gone after the season. He has to. He's getting paid so much
he's a
money to
Tibbs
like not be
he's a
that
Tibbs
good.
smart man.
Oh, for sure. Blazers legend though.
True, very true. Pelicans legend as well.
Yeah. Um, but like outside of that, I don't really have much to say about this series. Like Derek White, I wanted to shout out from before. We never mentioned him in that Magic series. He was so awesome, and he'll probably just continue
love
to be
Derek
awesome
White.
in this series.
I'm pretty
Um,
sure Derek White is actually 100% from three in the last 3 minutes of every game he's ever played ever, and it's not fair, and I hate it.
yeah,
He's
he's
so good.
he's just like he's such
In
a
the clutch,
consistent
Derek
playoff
White
player.
scares the shit out of me.
Oh yeah, he's
Yeah,
like he's just. I mean, he showed it in the Olympics too. Like he's just one of the most
Yeah.
consistent clutch players, like for like a role player, almost ever. Like it's he's just great on defense, and he hits just every three. It feels like he hits like six or seven threes every game.
Yeah, it's not fair. It's cheating. He shouldn't be allowed on the Celtics.
Like I mean, I don't want to move on from that series. I don't even think we talked about it for 10 minutes. But like, is there anything else from that series you guys want to touch on? Because like I really don't have much to say.
Celtics in five.
I don't have much to say either.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be
Yeah,
good.
it's just there's not a whole lot to say. It just feels like a really big mismatch.
Hmm. All right, we can move on to the best series of this round, no doubt about it. Um, no bias at all. Thunder 1 seed versus the 4 seeded Nuggets off of one single day of rest. They played Saturday. They have to play again Monday. The Thunder are off like 9 days of rest. I'm taking Thunder in
So
five. I'd
Don't
say
be too rusty.
I'm
We're
a little
losing to the Nuggets.
I'm closer to six, but I'm gonna say five.
I got OKC in 6.
I agree. I think I have Thunder in 6 still.
And the reason I say 6 is it's not even. I think I said this about the Grizz, but you'll get what I mean as well.
Mm,
OKC in 6 just because Jokic, I believe, is going to have like a 40, 15, and 10 or a 50, 10, and 10, and just something that
yeah.
99% of teams ever are not overcoming a game where a player puts up a 40-point triple double, a 50-point triple double, and I absolutely see that coming from Jokic at least once, probably twice.
Hmm.
The Nuggets are just a really tough team to beat at home too. They have a really crazy
Very tough.
environment to play in. They have a lot. They have really well conditioned players who are able to play. They're able to keep their starters on the floor for a majority of the game without really seeing any decline in their performance.
Yeah.
And the way that their role players have been playing so far this
Peyton
playoffs,
Watson's been awesome. We should have mentioned him earlier. He was awesome.
Oh yeah, we should have mentioned him.
yeah. And so, and it'll be. I really am excited to see Westbrook play in OKC as well for a playoff series. That's going to be really cool to watch.
Yeah,
So,
it's tough for me
uh,
because like Russ is my favorite player of all time, but I'm obviously an OKC fan, and so it's like I'm rooting for my team, but like every time he hits a three or like a dunk or something, like am I supposed to like be annoyed? Like I can't really say I
Yeah,
am.
yeah.
it'll be interesting. I'm interested to see if the crowd will like cheer if he scores. Like probably not,
No,
but
I think like
at
he'll
the
No,
get
they
same
like
won't.
time, it's like
he'll
They
probably
won't.
get cheered when he like first gets announced and in game one,
yeah.
but like outside of that, I think it's just gonna be like a regular Nuggets player.
Yeah.
Um, a few things that I have for this series. Jokic, he's gonna have a great series, no doubt about it. He averaged like he has to if they have any chance. He cannot have a 13-point game seven like he did against the Clippers or like
Yeah.
whatever other games he had that were bad. He has to be on his A game every single game in this series. So he averaged 24 and a half, 16 and 11 and a half on 57 and a half true shooting this season versus the Thunder. So that's, I mean, 16 rebounds is just ridiculous. But I think so. Ihart only played two of the games, and I think Chet played all four. Um, Ihart in one of the games he had 20, and he was frying Jokic that entire game. He was hitting the little like mid range like push shot that he does. He was hitting that effortlessly every time. And so I think this could be a big Hartenstein series where like Jokic is not that good of a defender, and Chet's going to be off guarding Aaron Gordon. Hartenstein might just eat up in the like getting probably not a lot of rebounds, but he should get a lot of looks on offense.
Yeah. I think there's going to
Um,
be a lot of looks from both teams in this series,
yeah,
actually.
there's I guess like a few other like I have a lot to say about this series, but I also don't want to like hog the entire time. I think Shea's gonna have an elite series this time. Last series he struggled, but I'm not worried about that at all here. Christian Brown's a good defender, no doubt, but I think Shea can like best him more times than not. And outside of that, they don't really have anybody to guard Shea. So it's gonna be such a huge series for Christian Brown. Like just so much weight is gonna be put on his shoulders where he's gonna have to play elite defense again, and he's still gonna have to be a good 3-point shooter and general offensive player as well. I think J Dub should have a solid series. I think Chet's gonna have a great series. He's played them really solidly this season. I will say though he has shot the ball horrifically against the Nuggets this year. I had it somewhere. I think he was shooting 20% against. Yeah, he shot 20% from three against the Nuggets this season. Two separate games where he went 0 for 5.
Hmm.
So like that can't happen, obviously.
Yeah.
But based on
Um,
last series, I don't really expect it to.
I talked
Yeah, I
about
think
this
he'll
with the
be fine.
Cavs. I meant to expand on it a little more. Well, I was talking about Halliburton or Miles Turner, or sorry, Miles Turner being an X factor. I meant to say it about the Knicks, but they suck so bad. I don't think it's gonna happen.
Mhm.
Um, for each team, I want to say one player that I think would be the outright X factor on why they would win. I'm gonna go. This one's gonna be obvious for OKC. I'll say Shea. Um, like obviously he's the main guy, but they won by 50 against him when he played bad against the Grizzlies. So if he has a great series, and I like truly an elite series, it'll be OKC in 5.
Mhm.
So that's who I'd argue. But for the Denver, if I had to pick someone, we were hyping him up earlier. If Denver wins this series, I think it'll be because Aaron Gordon has an elite 6 to 7 games.
Yeah.
Um, if there's any reason that Denver, and I'm not going to discount Denver, not because I think they're like the same level of team, because I don't think they are, but just because A, they have championship experience, and B, these are seasoned playoff veterans on this team, besides
Hmm.
like Christian Brown, and even then he won a championship. Um, Aaron Gordon would be my guess for X Factor. Like I absolutely see him where he averages like 17 points, 6 boards, and just like dominates in a way that the stat sheet won't say. Maybe you
Hmm.
guys disagree and have a different X Factor, but that would be my guess
No,
for
Aaron
if
Gordon's definitely
Denver
going to
wins
play a
the series,
huge,
it would be
huge
Gordon.
role for the Nuggets this series.
Jamal Murray, I think, is definitely going to have to play a lot better than he did in round 1-2. Otherwise,
That's
the
my
Nuggets are just
answer.
going to get ran off the floor, which is
Absolutely.
going to be difficult for him because the Thunder have a lot better defenders to throw at him than the Clippers did. And the Clippers still had guys that were
Hmm.
able to disrupt him, but there's a big difference between going from Chris Dunn to Lou Dort and Alex Caruso. So
Yeah.
Aaron
I'm interested to
Wiggins.
see how he'll play. He's not playing the Lakers. He's not playing.
Hmm.
So those magnet ball 35-foot 3-pointers aren't going to be going in.
He's that's a big reason why I have Thunder in five. I think Jamal Murray is going to have just such a bad series. Like he might have his one game like he did last series where he drops 38 or something and has like nine threes, but like this he just I don't think he's going to be able to have answers for Lou Dort on you this play. All right, next play it's Caruso. Now next play, Casey Wallace might play you, or like Shea could play him sometimes, or whoever. Like J Dub could has defended him very well in his career. Like
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
we have like four or five different players that we could throw at him, and whoever is defending him the best can just stick on him. And like I just don't think he's going to be able to have an answer and get those open shots and like whatever it is. Like the Clippers really
That's
only had they had Derrick Jones Jr. a bit that they used on him, but a lot of times it was Chris Dunn, and only having one or two players versus having like five that you can throw at a guy, I think it's just going to play a huge difference.
That's the thing about the Thunder is you can't really get switches against them and like
Hmm.
exploit mismatches
Yeah,
against
there
them,
is no
which I
mismatch
think
you can
really
hunt.
hurts the player like
Yeah,
Jamal Murray. He's not going to be able to get any favorable matchups at all this
yeah,
series, and he's already not like a really insane scorer, so I don't know he's probably going to have a lot of turnovers. He's probably going to shoot below 40% from the field. It's not going to be very pretty.
yeah. I think
It's going to have
I
to
just
mostly be Jokic.
this series really for them to have any chance in it at all, we're gonna have to see some like honestly, this might be hyperbolic, but I think Jokic is going to have one of the best series ever for any player ever if they want to win the series because like
Oh yeah.
I don't think Jamal Murray is going to be very good and like MPJ the Thunder like to leave people open, so I don't know if that's going to be MPJ or if it's going to be Aaron Gordon in the corner, or we're going to leave Russ open, I would assume. So it could be him too. But like, so Russ is going to have to be hitting his shots consistently. Aaron Gordon's going to have to be hitting his shots consistently. MPJ has to hit every three that he gets, and he was getting a lot of open looks in the first series. But like, it just he has to do that. Like, all of these guys have to be hitting their shots when they get those opportunities, because
Mhm.
Jokic, if he's not dropping like a 30-point triple double every night, I don't know if they're winning a game. Like, if they're going to be winning those games, and he's probably going to have at least, like you said, one or two, probably more than two triple doubles in this series. Um, I'm very interested to see how they like if they just like try to go for the route of let Jokic score a lot and not get a lot of assists because that's been proven to how to stop him. But also, like, are you just going to allow him to score 50 because he'll end up with 8 assists anyways, and like then that might just lose you the game.
Right.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see this series. I think we were talking about it last podcast. Who's going to start losing minutes? I last series, the Grizzlies weren't good enough to really make us shrink our roster or our lineup. But this series, I could see Kenrich Williams probably won't play or much at all if he does. Jay Will probably doesn't play a ton, but he has been good against the Nuggets this season. And then Case and Wallace again. I said that last time, but I'm assuming he probably loses some minutes here because there's no way we stick with a 10 plus man rotation. That just feels like pretty crazy for this series.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm
Eh,
interested to see
mhm,
Shea and Jokic both kind of playing a lot worse than people were expecting in the first round,
totally.
especially after how close the MVP race was all season.
Hmm.
So I'm
Agreed.
really excited to see because this head to head will hopefully because I'm
We
like
find out the MVP. We're gonna find out
99%
the
sure
MVP during the series. I think it's right
during the
before game
series,
two.
but the fans, I saw
It'll
an
be today.
ESPN post. um, about talking about how the Nuggets were going to play the Thunder after they beat the Clippers last night, and the
Hmm.
entire comment section was saying, "Finally, Shea will get exposed for being a fraud and not the real MVP." And so I'm excited because I'm 99% sure the Thunder will win this series.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm excited to see if that kind of terrible narrative switches around towards people realizing Shea is legitimately the most valuable player in the league this season if the Thunder come through and win this series. So that'll be
Yeah.
interesting to
Especially if
watch.
he plays like he did against the Grizzlies. I'm not gonna say we have to start a conversation, but it would be like. Mm. But
Yeah. I don't think.
I don't think he will at all.
I would
Yeah.
like if Shea has a bad. I would be so like you could point to any other player on the Thunder to have a bad series, and I think you like we could have a real discussion of like, oh yeah, maybe Chet has a bad series if he's getting like big bodied by Aaron Gordon a lot or whatever. He can't hit his shots, whatever. But like Shea, I think we're going to see such a dominant. I think this is going to be a dominant series from Shea. It's going to be like this is going to be the real MVP battle, and I'm very excited for it. I think Jokic is going to have a great series, and like really people are going to be like, this is why you should win the MVP, whatever. But I wouldn't be surprised if we get multiple 35, 40 point games from Shea here too. He's Christian Brown.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's going to be able to defend him
Mm.
well enough to stop him, and like they just don't have the interior presence. Shea's going to be able to get inside so consistently. The rim, like he's just going to be able. He's already one of the best, if not the best, rim finisher in the league, and he's just going to be able to do that so effortlessly. And like if they want to, if Jokic sits for 4 or 6 minutes a game, those DeAndre Jordan minutes, I pray to the Lord that Shea is on the court with him because that's 15 points within a minute that's going to happen there. Yeah, so I don't see I don't think the Nuggets have the answers to for all of the possible scenarios that the Thunder throw at them. And I said Thunder in five, maybe six. I wouldn't be surprised if it's six. I'm probably saying five because I'm biased. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if it's 5-2. I think this is a super dominant team that's going to have a very dominant run through the entire postseason.
Yeah, if I had to guess, so I don't know if that was like a slight prediction or not. If I had to guess one player on the Thunder have a bad series, it would be Chet. I think Gordon is very equipped to
Hmm.
handle Chet.
Yeah,
Like Gordon specifically, not just like because he's a big man,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
just because of how Gordon plays. I think Chet could have a bad series, but I don't think it'll negatively impact them
Hmm.
too bad, unless he like is catastrophic. Then it
Even
could
if
be
he's bad on
really bad.
offense, like Chet consistently shows up on defense. Like he never really gets
Right.
played off on defense. Like he can miss his
Right.
shots and stuff,
Yeah.
but he's always gonna get his blocks and his rim deterrence. And so I think that's really like if Jamal Murray is driving to the paint, like he's meeting Chet Ihart at the rim. Like it's not gonna be good. So I think Chet he'll be fine in the end if his offense is not great.
Yeah.
Any other final points from you, Chase?
No, I'm just excited to watch the MVPs battle it out and
Yeah, this,
Yeah.
this is
see what
exciting.
happens.
Like I feel, how often do we see the two MVP candidates go to war in the playoffs? Like I feel
Well,
like
it's been Jokic versus Embiid with a one Luca, so
true. Yeah,
not
yeah.
really.
And like it was like Jokic,
Yeah.
Giannis. Like I feel like last time it was. I
Been a
mean,
lot of
like it might
Westbrook
have been
East.
LeBron, Steph. Honestly, was the last time we were consistently
Yeah,
getting it.
you might be right.
Yeah. But even then, when they were playing in the finals, Steph was usually pretty clearly the MVP. I feel
Yeah,
like
and
LeBron
also
wasn't
he just
really
had
getting
such
much
better
MVP
teams
traction
too.
those years. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to judge because the Warriors were just every time a better team. The only time you could
Yeah.
argue the Cavs had a better team was 2015, and Kyrie was hurt and Kevin Love was hurt as well. So
Yeah.
you couldn't. It's like I
Yeah.
don't know.
All right, well, we can move on to our final series then. We got Timberwolves who beat the Lakers versus the Warriors slash Rockets. We'll find out tonight. We can do scenarios, I guess, for both. I have
Wolves in five doesn't matter who.
well, that was 10.
Well, five for
5 for
one team,
each. Yeah,
five for
yeah,
the
yeah.
other.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's
Wolves
Wolves
in
in
ten?
six,
Wow.
regardless of who they play.
I have Wolves in 6 regardless.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. I I just think they're just flat out better than both the teams they'd have to play. I think the Rockets and Warriors would both really struggle to score against them just because they
Hmm.
lack spacing so much. I think Jimmy Butler would struggle to score inside against Gobert.
I think it's just
And
gonna be a
the
rough series
Rockets,
for Jimmy overall.
Gobert's good
yeah,
at sniffing out foul baiting too. I feel like so that could
yeah,
hurt Jimmy.
Yeah, the
and
Timberwolves aren't a
Anthony
team that
Edwards is
gives up a
just
ton of free throws too. Like I
Mm.
feel like Gobert doesn't really foul. I guess they did a bit in the Lakers series, like Jaden McDaniels fouled out of a game, but like Gobert
But they
never
could have
fouls out of
prevented some
games. Like
things.
Julius Randle doesn't. I mean, he definitely fouls stupidly sometimes, but like he doesn't really foul out of games much. So like I'm not really worried about these guys like all getting to 5 or 6 fouls consistently.
Right, I agree.
If the Rockets play them, I don't think they have a star that can match Anthony Edwards
Yeah.
and what he's going to be able to do. And then
I
as with
agree.
the Warriors, just don't have the same depth that the Timberwolves do.
Hmm.
Also, the Warriors bigs, like if the Timberwolves play the Lakers and the Warriors bigs back to back, that's like two of the worst big men rotate. That is probably the two
Yeah,
worst big men rotations in the entire
Yeah.
playoff picture. So
it is for sure.
it's just
Uh,
it's just bad. I think.
you could, the Magic are up there. I would
No,
take. I'm taking the Warriors
yeah.
over the Magic big man situation, but like,
Oh,
Really? I guess we're counting Draymond.
yeah.
yeah.
Draymond's
Yeah.
just better than
Draymond plays.
Wendell
Draymond
Carter
is a
and
big
like
man.
Goga and whatever else
I
they
was gonna
have.
say I'm thinking
Jonathan
like
Isaac.
Kevon Looney and Quentin Post when I think of the Warriors bigs. I don't
That's
really
fair
think
enough,
of
but
Kevon
they
Looney's
Timberwolves.
a
do they run Dre at the 5 enough that he counts, even though they shouldn't. Dre can't run. He's not a 5 anymore. Like he doesn't have the athleticism and he doesn't have the size to like when he in 2016 he could play the 5 because he could shoot and he was such an insane athlete that he was able to guard all over the place. But and he still is a great defender,
He
but
could
he's just not as he's not what he was.
I don't know,
he
man.
could
Kevon
shoot
Looney
last
against
year,
the
and this
Kings.
year he's just been horrible again. I don't like last year he just had a random 40% 3-point shooting
Hmm.
year, and this year he's right back to just not being able to space the floor anymore.
Yeah, it is strange. And he has started like to tap back into like his dumb gene where like, he takes ill-advised shots like way more often than he should. I mean, he opened up one of the games this series with 2 straight 3-pointers, and it was just like, what are we doing? Those plays should be like
He
drawn
has
up 100%. Like it's like in the NFL, like the first drive, it's all the plays you already know what's about to happen. Same thing in the NBA,
Right.
like you know which first 4 or 5 plays you're gonna run, and it's Draymond threes. Like that should a play should never result. Your goal should not be like an open Draymond three ever.
Steve Kerr's hilarious.
Yeah, he's benefited
Um,
so greatly from having Steph. It's pretty
yeah.
crazy.
I'll do my dumb little X Factor gimmick one more time.
Hmm.
Let's start with the T Wolves because they're the confirmed team, obviously. I think this one's pretty obvious. It's Randall. If he keeps playing as he does, the T Wolves might win in four.
I would
Honestly.
say it's Ant,
Um,
honestly, but I
you
don't
think
mind
Ant?
Randall. I
Just because.
think if we're I don't I'm gonna interrupt you, but if it's Anthony Edwards against the Warriors, like
Mhm.
he might have 40 every game. Like I think
Yeah.
it's
he's
gonna be
going to
ugly.
have such an
Yeah.
insane. I mean, he was obviously fantastic against the Lakers, but if he plays the Warriors, I think he's just gonna feast every possession. Like Jimmy's a solid defender, no doubt, and like Podzemski's a solid defender, but they're just not good enough for Anthony Edwards. Especially with, like the hip injury that Jimmy's dealing with. You can't
Yeah.
be injured going up against Ant. Like you need your full 100% athleticism to deal with him.
I think. I think that
Yeah.
injury's worse than they're letting on.
Totally. He
Oh yeah.
looks like he's really laboring out there. Like he looks like he's
I
in
don't.
crazy pain.
Oh. I guess I'll go Warriors first because I think we're all in agreement that we think the Warriors are gonna win.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
just mentioned him. I think it would be Pods. Um, Pods is gonna have to play his ceiling, not but like near his ceiling defense,
Yeah.
and he's also gonna have to drain the shots that he sometimes just doesn't drain for some reason.
Yeah.
And obviously it's because he's a newer guy. He's no like a veteran or anything, but I think Pods would be the easy choice for like a true like if there's a way to decide the series, his shots falling and him playing consistently great defense would be the reason why.
Hmm.
Um, and for the Rockets, I wrote down two answers. Um, uh, I'll go Van Vliet, one of them, just because he's got to keep up the play to keep the offense in the rotation that it's currently in, keep
Yeah.
like the oil. And the other one is Steven Adams because like yeah, Sengun, I have no fear of him
Hmm.
of like him scoring. I should say like not that he's not scary. But the thing with Steven Adams is that T Wolves are huge. They're arguably, except maybe what the Thunder and Cavs, the biggest team. They might be the biggest team. Um, Steven Adams has to play like he's one of the biggest dudes in the league in the paint specifically to continue this. It's gonna be he's gotta keep up the insane offensive rebound efficiency. And the problem is you're going against one of the best rebounders in the league. Like, what is it? Sabonis is up there. Rudy is obviously who I'm talking about. Um, so yeah, probably more overall. I'd guess Adams because I think Van Vliet can struggle a game or two, and it's not the end of the world for the Rockets. But if Steven Adams is not getting the looks or like maybe not the looks, but like the matches he wants on Rudy, then this is going to be a brutal series for the Rockets.
What about you, Chase? What do you think?
Um, as far as what the Rockets?
Well, as far as this series goes, so you said you have it at six either ways. You said Warriors. Do you like who are you looking at in this series for like who needs to
Oh,
for
like
the
an X
Warriors?
Factor player?
And not even
Um,
necessarily. I guess like sort of an X factor. Like if the Warriors want to have a chance here, like who, like what do you see happening?
uh, Warriors to have a chance. Honestly, it's gonna be Steve Kerr.
That's a good answer.
The the dude's gonna have to find a consistent rotation that works, and
Hmm.
then he's gonna have to be able to outcoach Finch
Yeah,
because that's really the best chance the Warriors have. Trying to find something defensively that can make Anthony Edwards have to earn his baskets.
yeah. I
Like if
do have
Anthony
in my
Edwards is
notes
just getting
that
mismatches, going
yeah,
1-on-1 the entire game with an injured Jimmy Butler, he's probably going to average 35 points a game.
yeah. I have in my
But
notes that like the series is kind of hard to plan for because like Steve Kerr just changes his lineup every game, and so like it's not. I don't know how much size we're going to see out of the Warriors or how little size. Like if they're going to run the small ball and run Gary Payton out there and Draymond at the five, or if Quentin Post is going to be starting, or this game Kaminga's out there now. Like
it's
it's
just annoying.
yeah, it doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense, and I don't think it'll ever change. But like it's just very strange. If it's the Rockets though, like we said earlier a bit, their offensive rebounding, like their size advantage that they have in the Warriors, just isn't in play with the Timberwolves. Their Timberwolves are arguably the biggest team in the league, and like you're not gonna outbig them. They have they have Anthony Edwards who is the best player or can be the best player in any series, and like they have the wing defenders that can annoy Steph and Jimmy enough to give them a bad game in any game with McDaniels and Nikhil Alexander Walker and um, Anthony Edwards himself can guard really well. I just Dante DiVincenzo too, former Warrior. I guess is a revenge series for him. If it is the Warriors, that is. I just don't see the Warriors having the manpower like outside of a Steph, 48-point game or Jimmy getting 30 with like 20 free throws. Like it's gonna be a lot has to go right. They're gonna have to have Pods hitting his shots and Draymond might have to hit a few threes. He's gonna have to play crazy defense. He cannot get ejected. That's going to be a real thing in the series. Like he's on ejection watch in every game.
He
Yeah,
he
he got a
genuinely he doesn't like Rudy on a personal level. He might throw a punch at him.
Not, I
yeah.
mean, he threw a punch in the first
That's
round. I'd say it's
Right.
likely he throws a punch.
He might strangle him, honestly.
He's done that before. Yeah,
I know,
and I think
exactly.
honestly, I think if the Timberwolves play them, Anthony Edwards has always been like kind of a Draymond instigator. We've kind of
yeah,
seen it over the years now that he
Oh
really likes
yeah,
to talk.
yeah.
He really likes to talk to Draymond in the middle of the game, and that usually ends up rattling Draymond more than it ends up hurting Anthony Edwards in the long
yeah.
run. So
I don't
I,
think it's
I
gonna
honestly
flip,
think
man.
There's few players
getting it.
NBA history that can talk shit the way Anthony Edwards does and like back it up and
Yeah,
not like mess himself up in that.
Yeah.
and I love it. But I, I think Timberwolves will just be able to get into Draymond's head pretty easily, just because, like you said, he legitimately just doesn't like Gobert at all. Probably because he stole so
We
many decoys
earned.
from him. But um, well, well, yeah,
Yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
but Draymond feels like they're stolen
I
from
just
him.
had to push some propaganda real quick.
Um, but yeah,
Okay.
Um, I liked what Chase said about is Steve Kerr being his X factor. I should have thought of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wrote Pods. I just talked about that. What if Pods plays 10 to 15 minutes a night and he doesn't even have the opportunity to drain the threes or play the defense that I said he needs to do because he wanted to play some G leaguer that no one's ever heard of because he's got the hot hand. This is the guy for this game, but But if he has 20 points, well, we gotta send him back. Is clearly ridiculous.
Mm.
But yeah, I might have to change my answer to Kerr. And I like Kerr. I think he's a good coach. But sometimes he just does stuff that's like, what are you doing, man?
I don't think he's a bad coach.
Very spontaneous coach.
I feel like he's overrated though. Like, it's just I don't think like if you obviously
in terms of
in terms of all-time standing,
he was an all-time great coach.
Yeah, like in terms of all-time standing, and also the fact that like I feel like he didn't like necessarily elevate like the teams that he won championships with. I think that most coaches probably could. You probably could speak you could speak to like the way that he was able to keep that group to like pretty cohesive. I mean, obviously Draymond and KD ended up fighting, and that's why KD left. But like keeping stars together for more than a year is difficult, and so I guess that kind of speaks to something to do with him. I guess
he's definitely a good leader of men, which I think you can kind of get a grasp of from like his interviews and the way players talk about him, and that's probably why he was coaching the Olympics team, because he's good at bringing people together and like coaching players up. I just feel like as far as like game plan, rotations, not even X's and O's, because I don't think that's really a problem for him at all. I just like the way he plays his rosters. It just some of the decisions he makes just make zero sense.
Yeah,
and he's just never gonna fix that because it's been a problem for 10 years now.
I guess for like a cross-sport reference, he could be like better Mike Tomlin, where sometimes he'll just do something that makes almost no sense, but it's like you can clearly tell everyone wants to play for this guy, both Tomlin and Kerr. So that would probably be
I could see it.
Way to explain.
I like it because Tomlin also is like stuck in his ways and just refuses to really change the way he does things.
They're two very my way or the highway kind of guys, which you can respect, especially since they're both champions. Although Tomlin won a championship before the iPhone was invented, so whatever.
We've gone through the first round recap, and then I feel like we basically touched on everything we really wanted to in that Timberwolves Rockets / Warriors second round series. We can move on to just like the miscellaneous NBA stuff that's happened since the last podcast. A few hirings happened. The Grizzlies, obviously, they fired their head coach with like a week or so left in the season, and then they promoted Tuomas Isalo to head coach, or they promoted him from assistant coach to interim head coach, and then they've since hired him. He's the first Finnish coach. He won the Euro Cup and the Euro Cup Coach of the Year in 2024. I felt like a pretty obvious move. He's been like a highly regarded assistant for a while. Do you have any real opinions on it, or?
I mean, he sounds like a good coach. I've just never been a fan of keeping interim head coaches. I feel like he usually often doesn't work out. That might be football bias.
Yeah, I don't know much about interims in NBA, but I mean he has high potential. We weren't going to be able to see it this year because he only got to coach like 10 games, but I'm interested to see how he does next year. Similar to how the Spurs they promoted Mitch Johnson to head coach. You don't? I've seen Spurs fans complain about it, but from the reports, the Spurs have had him in like their lineage of like Pop has been training him for years now, and so this has like been their plan for a long time. So I just trust the Spurs organization in general, and so I trust that this will work out in the end.
It feels like Gerard Mayo being like lineaged from Belichick. I think the Spurs had a silver platter pick with Michael Malone. That's what I would have done if I was specifically the Spurs. I mean, obviously Mike Malone was just fired, so you could debate it. And Mike Malone did have issues, but he also kind of felt like a victim of horrible GM-ship.
A little bit.
So I probably would have hired if I'm Mr. Spur, I would have hired Mike Malone.
Chase, you said you don't think he's a good coach?
I think he is a good coach. I'm still pretty surprised that they did that. I always thought it should have been the GM who should have went because he never really did anything that great. Which Michael might have been involved in them deciding not to trade for people, but at the same time, he was such a good coach when the players were actually on the floor that I feel like it was an interesting decision to let him
Yeah, I
go,
mean
especially
he
late
was
in the
there for
year.
10 years and he won a championship. It kind of came out of nowhere. That was
Yeah.
weird. I'm interested to see like whether it's Taylor Jenkins. Obviously, he got fired by the Grizzlies, or I don't really don't know what the direction the Nuggets going. I guess maybe they keep David Adelman. I'm not sure, but I guess we'll see
Who
in
knows,
a
man?
few weeks here when they lose to the Thunder. The last one, hirings the Suns promoted Brian Gregory to GM. Um, he if you want some
I
history
know.
about if you want some history about him, he coached Matt Ishbia at Michigan State when he played college basketball. And he's from all reports that I've seen is essentially a Matt Ishbia yes man. So he essentially like hired himself to be the GM. I just I feel like it's going to be a super messy situation. Ishbia, like new owner comes in, they always try to make the big trade. He traded for Katie and it didn't work, and I'm a little worried to see how this is going to end up with I don't know. I don't trust Ishbia much, and I don't think that this is a good hiring. But what do you guys
I
think?
have no, I had no prior knowledge, but if it's based on what you said, I kind of feel like he was already the GM.
No.
I mean, there's no way any sane GM. I don't even think Nico Harrison would have traded for Bradley Beal. I don't even think Calvin Booth would have traded for Bradley Beal.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's underratedly like obviously it's a horrible trade. We know that. I think it's underratedly one of the worst trades in NBA history. Um,
Does Beal have a no trade clause?
Yes, he's one of two players,
So
him and
he
LeBron.
so dumb.
yeah.
It's so
No,
bad.
Here's
like I
all the
can't believe the
negotiating
Wizards were able
power
to
and
get
all
off
the
of
money
that.
guaranteed. The Wizards better thank some higher powered that they got off that Beal contract.
And it put them in
But
such a
Is he
great
making?
position.
Is he still making 50 million a year?
Yes,
yep,
for I think
That's
two more
bad.
he did.
seasons.
The only stat that he led the league in was tying his shoe on the court this
Dude,
year.
I
That's real
swear,
stat.
like every game he's tied his shoe like 20 times. It's so strange.
Yep. So
Um,
yeah, great player worth 50 million. Hall of
yeah,
Famer.
terrible. But yeah, not. I mean, I don't. Spurs. The Suns suck. They bad future, bad team. Do you think Devin
I think
Booker
they
gets
got the
traded?
worst
How about that?
future.
We can talk about that. Do you guys think they
I
move
don't.
on from
I
Booker?
don't think so.
Devin Booker to the Pistons. Cinema.
Dude, I would love it. I feel like Devin Booker is a Sun for life, but I really would
Yeah, I do.
love
agree.
for him to be
I
on the
agree.
Pistons. I feel like he's like I don't think he's like some franchise savior. Like if he went to the Rockets or the Pistons, I'm not like, oh, finals favorites now or like finals contenders even really. But I think that he would just elevate those situations a lot. And he's just like the perfect plug and play player that they need, like just that good shooter, good leader type guy.
Yeah, I
He
think
can
he's
go
a
play in a lot of
on the
different
Pistons. I'd
places.
be
Yeah,
very
people say
interested
the
in.
Magic. I don't think that he would even fully solve their
No,
problem, but like it would definitely help a
no,
lot.
it'd be
He's
bad.
a guy who can go to a lot of. He can go to a lot of different situations because he's not like
I
a
don't
really
massively
insane
love him.
playmaker, but he
And
could definitely go be a playmaker for a team, and he's such a good scorer that he can kind of fit anywhere.
and he's
But
not
I
he's
do
not
think he'll
insanely
be in
ball
Phoenix for
dominant.
life.
It's gonna be crazy when we trade Javante Green in a first for Devin Booker and the Cavs or
Yeah.
super team.
No, Evan Mobley to the Thunder though. The last thing I wanted to bring up,
We're getting you honest. We have Devin Booker.
yeah, the last thing I wanted to bring up was Pop retiring. The most winningest coach of all time. He has the most wins. I think he's maybe has the best win percentage. I don't remember for sure though. Just overall, the GOAT coach on and off the court. Obviously he's proven it on the court and like off the court. Every account I've ever seen from former players, assistants, anything really that's anyone has ever interacted with him, they say he's just like the best person. Whether it's DeMar DeRozan saying like he was there for him and cried with him for hours after his dad died, or like I don't know, plenty of other things that you can point out. So I wanted to ask you guys: do you guys have a favorite Greg Popovich moment that he comes to your mind when he retired, like something that popped up to you?
I do. 2022, asking who you're gonna put who against on the 76ers, and he said, I don't even know half the players on that roster. That yeah. Obviously, that's not the goat moment, but it
Yeah,
makes me
no,
laugh
that's
every time
funny.
I think about it.
I don't have any specific moment that comes to mind with Popovich. It's kind of more just like a general recollection of how he was as a person throughout his career. He was always kind of like this grumpy guy who like didn't really like talk. The way that he would do interviews with the media, and he'd give like one word answers, or he'd just
Yeah,
say things that didn't really have that much substance to it, and then he'd just get back to coaching. He was all about business, and I think it's we've kind of known that we were coming to this point ever since he had the stroke last year.
yeah,
But I'm hoping he's healthier now, and
yeah. They said he's going to
I'm
go into
glad that
the.
he gets to go out being
He's like, I think he's the VP or president of operations now or something like that. So, like, he's just
oh is he still he's
yeah,
getting promoted?
yeah. So
Okay.
he's
Yeah.
gonna do, I guess, what Brad Stevens did essentially. I don't know if he's gonna. I think because Brad Stevens is like basically their GM, so I don't think he's doing like all that, but he's gonna oversee some degree of their team, which obviously is awesome because I hopefully he can stay in basketball as long as he possibly can. But he's also really old, so I wouldn't be surprised if
Right.
he steps away sooner rather than later. If I had like a favorite, I mean, I was thinking that too. Like, I don't really have like one specific moment. It's just like everything. Like, it was always just like fun watching him like on the sideline. He would have the funny interviews or funny interactions with the players. I know I've seen a lot of people say when he fouled Shaq when he was on the Suns, so he fouled him within like 5 seconds of the first of the tip off, just like to troll him. Like that was really funny.
Oh yeah,
Or like
That's a great moment.
yeah,
that's a good one. Yeah.
or like when Kawhi, I think was this year? I think last year. I think when he came back to San Antonio for like the first time in however long, and all the fans were booing him, and then Pop got on the mic and was like, "Stop booing him! Like he won us a championship. He's like an awesome player. Like respect him and just focus on the game." Like that was really cool too because it just
Mhm.
showed like it's it's bigger than basketball a lot of times for him, and he like just why are you booing one of your franchise's best players? Like he won you a ring. He's a Finals MVP for your team. Pop just I don't know. He seems like a great guy. He's really funny and like obviously an amazing basketball mind. So it was very unfortunate to see him have the stroke and then miss time and now obviously step away from coaching permanently. Um, but moving on from that,
All
is
right.
there? I guess we can brush up. We can go through quickly the guys who won awards. So you had most improved go to Dyson Daniels, clutch player go to Brunson, rookie of the year go to Stephon Castle, six man go to Pritchard, and Depoy go to Mobley. And then we have not seen MVP yet. Oh, and coach of the year went to Kenny Atkinson. Um, so seeing as two of those are Cavs,
The only thing
mhm.
Cavs sweep.
Yeah,
the
you were
only
saying,
thing that I didn't like about the awards
yeah,
was Dagnall wasn't even a nominee for Coach of the Year, man. Like
yeah.
Who?
I wasn't expecting him to honestly.
Dagnall,
Oh.
I wasn't really expecting him just because like he
that's
won it
just so
last year.
nasty. I feel like
I
I didn't have a problem with Atkinson winning. I was just really surprised that Dagnall wasn't like a nominee at all,
mhm.
especially with how the Thunder, as great of a season as the Thunder had, considering all the injuries they had this season, and that their roster on paper really shouldn't be a team that wins as many games as they did. I feel like. Um, I don't know. I was surprised that he wasn't even a nominee for the award, but I
Who's
don't
who's
mind
the
Atkinson
third
winning.
nominee? I knew Atkinson
It
and
I
Figure,
think it
was
was Ime.
but
Udoka.
Yeah,
oh,
which
okay, yeah,
I
okay,
also understood. I mean, he went from the 11 seed to the 2 seed. Like I didn't mind it.
yeah.
This was like we,
I
we
could be
I
mentioned
probably
last
would have
time.
had.
This was a crazy
Coach of the year is
stacked.
always
This
surprised
was a
most.
crazy stacked coach of the year award. Like this was
It
one of the
is, yeah.
strongest races in years. And so, I mean, there was probably at least four guys between Atkinson, Bickerstaff, Ime, Mark Dagnall. I mean, you could even maybe throw JJ Redick in there. Like there were so many guys that you could have a strong argument deserve to win this award.
Yeah. If I had to run through them real quick, clutch player Brunson. Yeah, he's been clutch. Sure, you can have it. Most improved. I would have picked Zubac, but Dyson
Agreed.
Daniels is a good pick, and it wasn't Cade, so that's why I'm happy.
Yeah, as long as it wasn't Cade,
Um,
I didn't fully care who won, but Zubac like he just deserved some more credit for his crazy season he had.
Yeah.
Sixth man of the year. I'm biased. I would have picked Ty Jerome, and to be fair, the reason I would have picked Ty Jerome is he played less, and I felt like when he played, he was more impactful than Peyton Pritchard. Um, I think the Cavs needed Ty Jerome more than the Celtics needed Peyton Pritchard. So I think that's why I'd go with that. Mobley, I'm not going to complain.
Mobley
Obviously,
deserved
he's the
it. I
GOAT.
mean, I had Amen
Yeah,
Thompson
Mobley
winning it,
deserves
but
it.
like
Yeah,
Mobley
and the
deserved it.
thing that honestly made me the most mad about the depoy race was the blatant Draymond propaganda we had in March when he so did not deserve it. And like you would ask, how do you deserve it? And they'd be like, it transcends the stat sheet. I'm like, what does it? Because we don't track beating the hell out of your opponent. Like it was so stupid.
I
Yeah,
think
Mobley deserved it.
I was a little surprised Draymond didn't. And it wasn't as close as I thought it was going to be. Mobley kind of ran away with
Mhm.
it a bit.
He
Um,
did.
but like I was I mean, Amen barely got any votes. That was surprising to me. And then Lou Dort got
Yeah.
some hype, which that was pretty cool to see. I think he finished fourth.
Mhm.
But yeah,
I would
I was Dyson Daniels was second. That was right, wasn't he? He finished second place. I think that was crazy.
I think so.
I know he was a
I didn't
finalist
see
at
the whole
least.
voting sheet.
He was
One
one of the three
shot.
finalists, which I hated. Dyson Daniels did not deserve to be depoy.
This might be a
I would have given it to Tumani Kamara, honestly. It's an unbiased selection of my
no.
decoy. That would have been
That's
that
pretty
would have been
fair.
This
my
might be
guy.
a shocking one. I don't know if I could fully commit to it, but I might say Bickerstaff deserved Coach of the Year over Atkinson.
Yeah, we had a long ass talk about that when we went over Coach of the Year. It's so tough between the two. Like they both deserve it for very different reasons. Like one went from terrible to
Yeah.
great or to
One,
good, and one went from good to elite. And both of those jumps are like you can make an argument for which one is harder to do.
I think
Yeah.
if I really had to think about it, I might go Kenny Atkinson just because he had less changes to the roster and he made them incredible.
Yeah.
Where Bickerstaff, I don't think the roster is too different, but it had some very specific differences,
At
and
least
by
two of
the
the
two
starters are
specific
different.
ones, like Tobias Harris, impactful. This was the later in the season, obviously Schroeder,
Malik
and then
Beasley, Tim Hardaway, like
Beasley.
there's a lot of guys you could point to.
Oh, that's my clutch player of the year, Malik Beasley. Uh,
Interesting.
yeah,
Anything else that I think we got them all right? Rookie of the year was Stephon Castle. I would have
yeah,
liked to see Rich O'Shea.
he deserved it.
What did you say?
Weak class, he deserved it.
Yeah, should have been Jared McCain.
True, that's true. That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm excited to see the Sixers next year.
I didn't mind it.
I'm excited to see Jared McCain. I'm not excited
if Paul George isn't there.
And if we're gonna, speaking of Stephon Castle, we can swing back to that Giannis trade. If I'm the Spurs, Stephon Castle and Keldon Johnson and picks are being sent tomorrow. I'm off like
bye.
Giannis,
Yep.
Giannis and Wemby, man. That would be.
Don't forget
that'd be something.
I want him to go to the Spurs, like just because of how fun that would be. I don't think it'll happen, but I think
that would be such a.
I think it's very possible. Like I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up that that's the team he goes to.
Oh yeah, 100%.
They showed with De'Aaron Fox, like they are willing to, like go after somebody and do it quickly. Like they will get that deal done, within a few days. And if that's whoever Giannis wants to go to is going to be where he ends up going. The Spurs, the Bucks aren't going to do bad by Giannis. Like if he wants to leave, it'll be his trade request. They'll talk it through with him. So
I don't think Giannis wants to do bad by
they
the
did
Bucks
bad by Middleton.
Because it's Chris Middleton. He was like 35 and could barely walk. Giannis is like at the peak of his powers.
But they traded for a dude with no hands. So
yeah, well,
that's insulting.
I don't think the Bucks management has any respect for Giannis. Because the way they just kind of trashed Middleton makes me feel like they don't really care about their players. Because he's obviously not as important as Giannis, but he's one of their greatest players in franchise history.
Third leading scorer.
Waiter, more shitty players for first round picks, please.
Yeah, they not a great front office, but I feel like that was basically all the stuff. Do you guys have anything you want to point out to from the playoffs or anything?
Cavs in 4.
Drew Eubanks still sucks.
Dude, Game 7 he was playing. My first thought was like, bro, Chase is gonna mention this on the podcast. The horrible Drew Eubanks minutes. Yeah, he was gonna fry.
I love watching Drew Eubanks fail. But yeah,
Harden was a nice hate watch for me. Harden was my hate watch.
Well, I'll be back with another one of these probably within another week or two to talk probably more NBA. I would assume draft is coming up sometime in the next month or so, free agency and stuff. So, conference
Yeah,
finals,
it's
plenty to
the
talk about.
the flag's a buzzer.
Yeah, he's the
Huh?
Thunder actually. But until then, this is I think episode 5 or 6 or something. Jack, Chase, Scott, signing off. See you around.